Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call to order the school committee meeting of, what is today, May 28th, 2020, 29th, 2025. Our chair is currently at the Thompson doing arts and academic nights, and she will be joining us just a little late. So we're going to get started, seeing as we do have a quorum. Let's start by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and we'll move right into the consent agenda. First up, we have the minutes of May 1st, 2025. I'll give the committee just a quick moment to review those, and then I'll entertain a motion for approval. Any changes or anything we need to note?
Are we just approving the May 1st?
Just May 1st at this moment.
So moved. I'll second it.
Mr. Moskowitz made the motion. Mr. Brown seconded. Discussion? We'll go for a vote. Mr. Moskowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Passes 4-0. One quick note on the February 25th, 2025 minutes. On page 2 of those minutes, we had actually reviewed and approved them, but it came to our attention, pointed out by a member of the community, that there was a small error that we didn't catch. It was recorded that we passed a budget of 69.2. At that time, the motion made by Mr. Brown was 68.2. So we'd just like to, we need to vote to approve the amendment to change those to be accurate as of February 25th. So I'll take a motion doing that.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Brown, Mr. Moskowitz. Any discussion or clarification needed? We'll go with a vote. Mr. Moskowitz.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Ms. Cormier.
Yes.
Vice Chair votes yes, 4-0. Thank you so much. Moving on to, we have the appointment of 2 of our different school councils and lawyers.
Yes.
Superintendent Lathrop.
Sure. So this is part of your policy that you appoint our school councils. We use one of these legal firms to help us with special education services, and the other is related to personnel. So the first one, Stoneham Chandler Law, is related to personnel, and the Nuttall, McAvoy, and Joyce typically helps us with special education.
Any further follow-up questions?
Yes. Any rate change?
Not that I'm aware of. They haven't shared that with us. We primarily use town council for most of our work. This would just be outside of the scope of something that town council couldn't do.
Is there anything we should, any changes or anything other than this is just the process? Do we appoint them yearly?
This is the process.
So
We
this is
appoint
just
them
the process,
yearly.
okay.
It's policy BDG. In the policy manual that you have here with you as well. One of the things that we did change this year is that our school leaders need prior approval before calling either of these 2 councils for advice or support, either from myself, Kristen Ando, Lynn O'Neill, Greg Landry. Somebody from central office needs to know before they seek council advice.
Okay.
And one small change, the firm of Nuttall, McAvoy, and Joyce will still continue to be the firm that we use. Our particular special education attorney, Tom Nuttall, is retiring at the end of this school year. So we will then be using another partner, not listed in the name, Craig Kowalski.
Thank you. We'll take
Sorry, one more question. Why do we have two different firms? Just-
Because of their specialties.
Okay, so it's special, okay. So it's to cover different needs
Correct.
that we might have. Okay, thank you.
And Stone and Chandler's, who's consulted with us, like when we did the contracts, right? With
Correct.
the teachers. and
Yes,
the-
personnel.
Yeah,
Yep.
anything personnel related, okay.
Great. We'll take them, can we take them separately? Or should we do them together?
Either one is
Either one,
fine.
we'll take them separately.
I'd like to, Mr. Vice Chair, I'd like to move that we appoint Stone and Chandler as our special school counsel for personnel issues.
Thank you.
Second.
No further discussion, so we'll go through a vote. Mr. Moskowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
Vice Chair votes yes. And second one.
Okay, Mr. Vice Chair, I will move that we appoint Nuttall, McAvoy, and Joyce, PC, as special school counsel for special ed issues.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cormier, for seconding. We'll go right into a vote. Mr. Moskowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move into student representative report. I'm happy you're here. I'm sad you won't be here anymore. But congratulations.
All right. This is really bittersweet. It's my last report after 2 years. So just wanted to say thank you to the committee for allowing us students the opportunity to be here and even give these reports. This is not something a lot of other towns even have. So just the fact that we even get the opportunity to be here and learn more about like what the whole school committee process is, it's amazing. So thank you. It's been really fun and a great learning experience. Okay, now into the report. Okay, 3 weeks ago, it was Teacher Appreciation Week, and the Student Council, so every year the Student Council makes teacher superlatives for teachers, and students within the school get to vote on it. So this year, instead of just giving out like the paper superlatives at like the teacher lunch, we hi Allie, we made paper crowns and we made a cute little video. So we filmed a crowning of each teacher who won a superlative, filmed it. Allie edited it. She's our PR manager, and it was posted on the Student Council Instagram. And that Friday, we also gave teachers snack deliveries. They had a huge wide selection of like chips, pretzels, chocolate bars. Only one teacher ordered an apple, but unfortunately they weren't even there. So I think it rotted over their desk over the weekend. And there was also a drink selection for them. AP exams are officially over, but testing at the high school is not over. Freshmen got to watch out for MCAS coming their way soon in June. Last week, the Asian Student Association holded their Asian night. It was brought back after 3 years. Miss Lathrop was actually there. Thank you for coming to support us.
You're welcome. It was wonderful.
It was a big success. I think it was a big success. There was a lot of people.
A lot of food.
Lot of food. A lot of food. There was a craft station. Lots of people were playing like games, card games. There was even a scavenger hunt and lots of raffle prizes to win. So it was super fun. Senior Sunrise was on May 19th, and it was like at 5 a.m., and all the seniors who attended, we were told to wear things that represented our future plans. It was cold outside, but lots of people brought blankets. It was pretty out. This last Tuesday, it was scholarship night, with the large percentage of the senior class receiving at least one scholarship. It was amazing. Thank you to the community for that. And senior prom was also last night. It was held in Castleton, Windham, New Hampshire. The venue had a beautiful view of the water, lots of outdoor seating, lots of people got to take pictures outside. The weather was amazing, and lots of compliments on the food. Someone in the notes specifically said they had good sirloin steak and brownie sundaes. And there was also the beautiful mirror photo booth thing. Elementary schools such as Sargent, Franklin, Thompson, to name a few, had or are having clapouts for graduating seniors today and tomorrow. Thank you, Ms. Leahy, for giving me and Harper these shark bracelets today. Proud Sargent Sharks. And the student council is having their banquet on June 3rd.
Hi, also similarly, it's kind of bittersweet to have it be our last meeting. It's been a really cool experience to be able to sit here for 2 years and see the whole process and be able to update you guys on like what's going on at the school. Seniors had our last day of school last Thursday, where students received their graduation bags with their cap, gown, yearbook, school records, and NHS Stolen tassel if they are in NHS. The National Honor Society had elections. The president is now Rachel McDevitt. The VP is Kieran Ringler. The treasurer is Kate Fry, and the secretary is Olivia Fritzinger, sorry. After the senior assembly, students signed yearbooks and were given vouchers for the 2 food trucks that were there on their last day of school. There was Pablo's Tacos and an ice cream truck. Graduation practice that was then on Friday, and afterwards students attended Apex Entertainment as the first senior week event. There were go-karts, laser tag, mini golf, bowling, and more. It was a lot of fun. On Tuesday, seniors went to Kimball Farms and enjoyed bumper boats, mini golf, ice cream, the driving range, and more. So that was also a lot of fun. The weather was very nice. It was a little hot, but that's okay. A lot of clubs are starting to wrap up with banquets. Drama Guild is having their banquet June 5th. And then also for the Drama Guild, Natalie Lobner of the Drama Guild was nominated for the Sondheim Awards for her performance of Cinderella many months ago, and attended the awards on the 17th up in Connecticut in New Haven.
So one thing that students have been a little bit stressed about is the schedule rollout for next year. And essentially it's just been slower than most years, and again, they're a little bit stressed about classes they're going to take. Anyway, we talked with Ms. Holman about it, and essentially because of staffing changes, the master schedule is more challenging to make this year. However, students will receive their schedules in due time. So to any students who might be tuning in, it'll be okay. Also, awards day was today, so we all got in the gym, and the seniors were all sitting down in their gowns and their caps. And we had all the other grades sitting in the bleachers. We had some parents there too. And a lot of great awards were given out, you know, all the standard ones. And of course, the juniors actually got some awards too, which was pretty cool. And then the last thing in my notes is on the chemistry field trips to Thompson and Franklin elementary schools on June 4th and 5th. So basically the AP chemistry class, well, there are 2 AP chemistry classes. But the students, we've picked out different sorts of experiments, and we'll be holding rotations at the elementary schools. So we're going to have lots of fun labs and presentations that we'll be demonstrating. Some of them include like elephant toothpaste. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, my group's got elephant toothpaste.
Awesome.
What does that do when you brush your teeth with it?
Oh no, you don't.
You don't put it in your mouth. Elephants only.
Do elephants brush their teeth with it?
No one should brush their teeth with that.
It looks like toothpaste.
It looks like an elephant trunk.
Yeah, it looks like,
almost.
yeah.
So that's one of them. We got some other ones. I think there's some sort of like balloon Alka-Seltzer demonstration about pressure.
Diet Coke Mentos?
I don't know if that's one of them, but and then I know we have others. We have like milk and magnesia and some other fun stuff to do like that. And that's it for me.
Okay, great. So we had a successful final band and chorus concert about 2 weeks and 1 week ago. And the chorus concert I personally went to, and I've never seen the high school auditorium so packed. I think there were about 200 people up on the stage singing, maybe, yeah, alumni, just 200 alumni alone. It was beautiful. Shout out to Mr. Somali and Ms. Durkin, our band and choral directors. They are fantastic. junior prom was May 9th at Black Swan, and it was a ton of fun. There was great seating. There was a lot of dancing. It was just a fun prom. And clubs are finishing out their years with elections and banquets. And we had Dude Be Nice Week starting May 12th. So May 12th was Compliment Day. May 13th was Accomplishment Day. May 14th was Self-Appreciation Day. May 15th was Connection Day. And May 16th was Gratitude Day. And yeah. Oh. The teacher superlative one or the Dude Be Nice one? I did 2 videos. So every year we do a video to celebrate feeling beautiful at school and the entire school community. So this year we did our yearly tradition of that video, and it went very well. We had a lot of new faces that I didn't really recognize in there, so that was really great to get to hear people's voices. And we basically take a picture of them for a project, and then we say, my project was to take a picture of something beautiful. And it's super sweet to see everyone smile and all that. And then we ask them, what do you think makes a person beautiful? And a few standout answers to me are always like, what's inside their heart? And I always love hearing that. So it went super great.
Thank you so much.
Comment? I had the pleasure of attending the awards night, and I want to congratulate CC and Harper, who cleaned up. Did really pretty well. I'm sure highly deserved. And thank you very much for your 2 years with us.
I'm happy to see you back here today, and I'm very sad to see this will be the last time. Well, we'll see you tomorrow night. Hopefully outside, potentially inside. We'll know about noontime what's going to happen. Thank you so much for all the hard work of sharing what's happening at the high school, not just the really important updates about activities and events that are happening, but also finding out how students are feeling and expressing those ideas to ours. And then last year, over the summer, and then at the beginning of this year, I challenged you all to see your role as more than just that, because that is really important, but you're here to represent all the voices of our kids, and you really started to lean into that, and I thank you so much, and keep doing that for yourself and for your peers and as you go forward into life, because that's what your voice matters, and you have to make sure you keep using that. We need to hear all of your voices, so that's for the other two, Allie and Louine, is do that more, just like you have been, and we really appreciate that. Best of luck to CC and Harper. You're going to do fantastic next year, and we will miss you dearly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
CC and Harper, are you staying? All right, so I'll say something nice about you in recognition. I'll wait until then.
Awesome. So we are going to move into public comment. We have lots of people in the room tonight, so I'm assuming there is going to be some public comment. Thank you all for being here. Just a reminder about the parameters that we use. We're going to limit our comments to 3 minutes a person. Please state your name and address when you come on up. Perhaps, Allie, can you do me a favor and just go on to the other side of...
There's a microphone right here, too.
Oh, we'll have public comment over there between Mr. Moskovich and Louine. State your name and your address, and then also, we did have a lot of things happen at town meeting, and I'm guessing some of the public comments going to be in regards to that, which we definitely want to hear and know. We haven't yet discussed the things, and we're going to hear some stuff from Superintendent Lathrop tonight about what we're going to do. So, we're excited to hear what you have to say and what Ms. Lathrop has to say tonight. So, we'll begin.
People dance for the middle school.
You did.
I did.
Can you remind us of your name and address so we can
sorry.
for that?
My name is Maureen. My name is Maureen Crawford. I live at 864 Chickering Road. I have a sophomore and an 8th grader.
Thank you. I still remember some of the dance.
Yes. I have handouts, but I don't want you to read the handouts. I wanted you to listen to me first. So this is called Why NAPS and the North Andover School Committee Should Think auf Deutsch about 8th graders. In my opinion, we are very thankful. I'm the parent of a German student, 2 German students. We're very grateful that NAPS has committed to teaching out all the kids who are taking German right now. In the handout, you will see I wrote thank you. And I crossed out and put Dankeschön. But it's my opinion that we've left out an entire class of current German students, and that is the 8th graders, who began their pursuit of the German language with the idea that they would continue in German. And so I heard a lot at town meeting and all the meetings about everything is important. And my boss once told me that budget time is a time when all the baby birds start opening their mouths to squawk. And so here's my squawk, squawk. It appears to me that it would cost less than $10,000 to let 8th graders finish their German program. I, of course, have backup data, which is attached to my presentation. But what's most important here is that we don't want to put kids at a disadvantage. No one wants to put kids at a disadvantage. Even people who hate children don't want to put them at a disadvantage. But these particular children will miss out on the opportunity to take a German AP test, to sit for the language requirements for the certificate of biliteracy, which is quite important. As an employer, I look for that, because they will start again. And certainly being a polyglot when you're a freshman is fine. You can speak French and German, you can speak German and Spanish. But it seems to me that if we are committed to teaching out all the children who are taking German, we should teach out all the children who are taking German right now. And so I did a little calculation by combing through the teacher contract, which, I don't have a degree in math, so it's a bit difficult. But I looked at how many days of school there were, how many periods it would take to teach these kids, and the highest step of teacher pay in the highest school year for which we have a contract, which is $119,975, which is $96 per hour. I would offer that if we allow the 8th graders to be taught out, by the time they were the only kids taking German, it would cost us $9,360. And I got the math. I would like to ask you to make the same commitment to all German language learners as we made to the ones currently in the high school. And if this was not persuasive to you, then I would offer, please consider letting current 8th grade German students go into college prep German 2, because you're just putting them in the same classroom. And the 8th grade children have had 5 days a week of German, and the current high school students have 4. So they're probably similarly equivalent. But I have handouts in which I have used the German flag liberally. Thank you
so much. If you can just pass them around, we'll definitely take a look at those. Appreciate it. I hope it's not too much in German, because I
I speak German. I grew up in German.
I'll have Miss Cormier translate for
I'll
me.
translate. I grew up in German.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I can translate.
Do we have anyone else for a public comment? We will have it at the end too, if you would like to wait until after. But you're welcome to go now. I do have it at the end as well. Just want to make sure everyone is aware. Hello, welcome, name, address.
Hello, everyone. Shannon Gately, 40 Phillips Court. I'm here tonight to ask you to use the 1 million funds properly and for what you know that they were intended for. When the school budget process started, I told you that I had what it took to go all the way, and I told you not to underestimate me, and I don't think that you believed me. I told you that our grassroots movement was large, strong, and powerful, and again, I don't think you believed me. Numerous parents gave public comment about wanting the LSB, wanting as much funds as possible, and you didn't listen to them, and you didn't believe them. Well, I hope you heard us loud and clear at the town meeting. While I'm aware it's at the superintendent's discretion, you know that the $1 million that we got for the schools is to bring teachers back, at least 8 to 10 of them, and some programs. And like Maureen said, I agree. I think we're doing a disservice. We should be putting our kids at a competitive advantage, not taking these away from them. And I'd like the money to be used for that and not what it's been suggested. Many people are concerned that this is your intention because you've made it clear that the students, teachers, and education aren't your priority. I know that you keep saying it is, but your actions that speak volumes, not your words. So please believe me now when I tell you we expect to see you to bring as many teachers back and soon without excuses or trying to delay, or you will have to keep listening to me, dealing with me, with us, with our group, with our town, and you've seen what our town can do and only half of what I can do. You keep changing the narrative every time it doesn't go the way you want. You can't even keep up with your own inconsistencies. You are all on record several times over the last several months saying that enrollment is down, birth rates are down. Ed had a whole talking point about it. And now all of a sudden you're talking about increased enrollment. Or the 68.2 superintendent said met the needs of the district, and while she would have liked more, you could make do with this or a lower budget worked. Well, we did get you more so that you could bring back the cuts you made. And if you don't remember, I can send you all the video clips if you like. You can't say that then and now try to say you need additional money for future services and savings. These line items should have been in your recommended 68.2 budget. So either you weren't being honest then or you're not being honest now. Neither is a good look, nor instills trust. You have treated us like adversaries when we tried to be allies. Well, I suggest you stop fighting us and start listening. Otherwise, I believe you're setting yourselves all up for failure. And in case you forgot, you're in elected positions. You report to the people of this town, not us to you. And I suggest you listen to what we want this time. While I know you have your supporters, I think town meetings showed that we have more. So hopefully you'll be listening to all the people and do what's right for our students and bring back the teachers and programs and set our children up for future success. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Welcome, Mrs.
Matthew
Sands.
Ruthier, 61 Brentwood Circle. I just wanted to kind of, echo some of the concerns that are going on with the additional $1 million. I'm sure you've heard it over and over again, but my bigger concern is next year. This year we got that budget passed with the $1 million addition, but next year we have an uphill battle for a debt exclusion and override, and I think that we need to continue to build on the momentum that we had from the meeting the other couple weeks ago, and we need to start working on that now, and we need to continue to work and try to work together so that we can accomplish those goals next year. And that's really all I wanted to say, but thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment at this time? We do have public comment again at the end. If you would like to wait till then, absolutely possible. Hello, Miss Sams, not Miss Koenig, but Mrs. Sams. Welcome. I hope Thompson was wonderful. I'm going to give that back to you because I don't want it. We are just finished up public comment and are about to go to, you get to do this part, the public hearing about school choice and participation.
All right, thank you.
This part. We're going to up to.
Sorry.
We're going to take this out of order.
Oh, okay.
What?
It's going up to
After
here.
this.
Okay. All right. So we have our school participation for school year 25-26. This is something that we participate in, or we vote on every year. We have a public hearing on it. Ms. Lathrop, do you want to add any more to?
Yes, just that our recommendation is that the board votes no, not to participate in school choice. The school choice would allow students from any district to apply to come to North Andover. It would also, our students can go to other schools that are school choice. They always can do that if they want to go to a school choice area. But given some of the constraints that we have, given the fact that we talked about class size, I don't think it's in the best interest of North Andover to become a school choice district.
Just for clarity, this is about whether or not we will accept students into our district. Students already, our students are welcome to seek out other districts
Absolutely.
that are accepting students
Yes.
for school choice whenever they would like.
Absolutely.
And every year, all districts do this thing
Every
that we're
year.
doing right now to
Mhm.
determine if they
Right.
are going to accept kiddos.
Correct.
Okay. Do I have a motion to enter public hearing?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right. Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We are in public hearing. the microphone is open for anyone who would like to make any comments.
And public hearing, for this public hearing, comments are limited to just about school choice and school choice only.
Thank you. Try not to lose that.
Just give it a couple more seconds in case anybody decides they want to speak.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to close public hearing.
Second?
Okay. Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Moskovich? Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We are exiting public hearing. Thank
And
you.
we vote on that technically later on during continued business.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. There's been a request to take one item out of order. We have our, under old business, our second read of the, let's say the official name, the updated bullying prevention plan. We're going to take this out of order so that Attorney McAvoy can join via phone in case there are any questions around the bullying prevention plan.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Hi, Matt. It's Pam Lathrop at School Committee. How are you? I'm going to put you on speakerphone. We are, yep, we are on. Okay. Are you there?
I am here.
This is Attorney Matt McAvoy.
Hi, Attorney McAvoy. Thank you for joining us. All right, we're going to see if there's any comments that we have revolving around the plan and any questions that we have. Mr. Hicks, you had some comments and questions?
Yes, Attorney McAvoy, just referring to page 20 at the very, very top. Harassment is going to be based on a person's membership in a legally protected category under a local, state, or federal law. I just want to make sure I understand correctly. Who are in Massachusetts or North Andover specifically, what are the protected classes, and are these being changed or impacted by the recent federal interpretation of Title IX?
Not as far as we're concerned, because Massachusetts state law has not changed. So the primary Massachusetts state law is Mass General Law, Chapter 76, Section 5, which, as far as the current federal requirements, does provide protections to students on the basis of gender identity as well as sexual orientation.
Thank you. That's what I wanted
As
to hear.
well as disability, religion, race, national origin, and, the standard protected classes.
Thank you. I was particularly worried about the way that the current administration is singling out gender identity and our trans students. I wanted to make sure that here in North Andover they would be continued to be protected from bullying and harassment and such. So thank you very much.
I mean, for purposes of, from council's perspective, we follow Massachusetts law. Massachusetts law clearly provides protections, again, on the basis of gender identity, as well as sexual orientation, for both students and staff members.
Great. That's all I had.
I just have one. When I was reviewing this, I didn't have access to the red line version, so I was just, could you please comment on what's changed with regard to retaliation?
There's been no change. We just simply borrowed the more expansive definition of retaliation from the applicable bullying regulations, 603 CMR 49.02. One of the primary changes to the bullying plan that we recommended was, first of all, to move the definitions forward in the plan, because it doesn't make sense to spend 20 pages talking about a subject and then only to define what the subject is at the conclusion.
Yep.
but we found that there were a number of definitions in the existing plan which actually were not consistent with the definitions in the statute or the applicable regulations. So we corrected those.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And then just a question, overall, the updates, if I'm remembering correctly from our first read, just want to confirm, this was more, this document hadn't been updated in quite a while, so these updates are truly to align to current law and just give you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And you are required, the district is, as all districts are, required to update the plan every 2 years. So you were a little behind the times on that. The Department of Education, elementary and secondary education, is fairly aggressive about that issue. So that was the purpose of the review. And I can kind of confidently and generally say that, in no way in conducting this review did we seek to kind of water down any of the protections afforded to students. We simply tried to make the plan, ensure that it was consistent with applicable statutory language and regulatory language, as well as, to present the plan, revise the order of the plan to some degree just to make it more understandable to the average reader.
Thank you.
All right, excuse me. Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Attorney McAvoy.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to review the plan and to provide some follow-up input to the committee.
Madam Chair, I do have one more question, but it wasn't for the lawyer.
Okay.
I don't want us to pay for it. Superintendent Lathrop, with the changes that have happened, have we made arrangements to make sure that school administrators are going to receive the PD that they need to make adjustments to how they operate accordingly?
Yes.
And what for?
Yes. As soon as you vote on the plan, the new plan will be up on the website. And just also, we have had both the proposed plan on the website. If there was any comment from the public to pass in, and we did not receive any. But this will go up on the website, and then during our summer retreat, we always review all of our policies and procedures, and sometimes we bring counsel in to do that with them. So we'll do that again this summer.
I actually had the same question, but with regard to staff, not just.
Once we train our building leaders, it's our building leaders' responsibility to train their staff at staff meetings, and so we'll make sure that happens.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further?
This is going to necessitate a change to our official policy
Correct.
as well, which I forget which.
Policy JCFB was updated in the proposed bullying policy, so it'll make a change to your policies as well.
Do we have a copy of JCFB? Is that?
I'll tell you where it is. Hold on.
It's included in the packet.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's on I'm in the red line one. It's on page 29 of the red line one, which is the updated maybe I missed a letter. Maybe it's JICFB.
Yeah, there's an I in there.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
So
Old eyes.
this actually makes it easier because I was worried that we would have to push this off a week so we could do both at the same time. But since it was already included in our reading and our stuff, we did a first
You've
read
already
of this.
seen it, correct.
So we can vote approval of both the policy and the plan tonight.
And one, yes.
That was a clarifying
I wanted to
statement.
make sure it was in there and
Thank you.
we were covered. All right.
So do you need a motion?
I need a motion.
Okay, so I would like to move, Madam Chair, that we adopt the proposed version that we found in our packet of the bullying prevention and intervention plan, and that we also update our policy accordingly.
Policy JICFB.
JICFB.
Right.
Accordingly.
I'll
Right.
second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Ms. Superintendent Lathrop, for having this updated and for looking at all the things we have to make sure we were doing appropriately and timely. And the one thing I do want to challenge us, and I know you believe this, so it's more of a statement and a challenge, is the policy is only as good as how we enforce it. And I want to make sure that we commit to making sure that our kids feel safe and that they have a place to go where they can learn. Otherwise, this is just a very nice piece of paper that doesn't do much. So like, I know we're committed, you are committed to that, and
I agree.
keep
And
pushing in that direction,
why
please.
training is paramount. The laws have changed. I think that how there were times that we may have investigated if a form was filled out, but that's different now. If you suspect bullying, even if someone has not filled out a formal bullying form, there's still an obligation to do an investigation. We've been really fortunate to work with our SROs this year, our school resource officers who have helped and supported us in this as well.
And I was wondering, I know we can't necessarily receive specifics about incidents, but can we do maybe a more formal presentation updating of numbers and things that are happening?
Yeah, we
Next.
absolutely can.
As part of like our yearly
we
thing.
do have to submit to the Department of Education cases of bullying and investigations, as well as restraint. There's lots of data that we report to the Department of Education. Brian Brutus is our data manager, so we certainly could work with him to come for a presentation about that, if you'd like that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Could I just add to Mr. Hicks's comment? I mean, I read through it. It is, of course, rather legal and bureaucratic, and so it doesn't really convey what actually happens. So I think his request for more information in a way that you don't need a law degree to understand would be helpful.
Okay, so we certainly can walk you through a basic what it might look like if a bullying investigation was started.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, I'll take a vote. Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Moskovich? Yes. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. All right, we're going to move back into our agenda as ordered, going into recognitions.
I didn't quite go back all the weeks that the student reps did, but we have a little bit. Keep going up. There you go. I know, huh? And they're really in no particular order this week. So the first recognition is to North Andover High School. They hosted a great concert last week. We call this place our home, was the theme of the concert. It was a celebration of 17 years of the North Andover choirs. Sarah Durkin, who's the choir director, she conducted her final concert that culminated over 100 alumni dating back to 2010. They were joining the current students on the stage to perform. And these are just a few of those pictures. The students, I think maybe was it Cece or Harper said, or maybe Allie, I don't remember. I think it was Allie. It was moving. It was just a beautiful, beautiful concert. It was a rainy, gross night. And I said to my family before I left, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going back out in this rain. I don't want to go back out in this rain. I came home and they were like, oh, how was it? And I said, it was the most moving thing I've ever seen. And my stepson said, well, do you have any videos to show us? And I said, I was so captivated by the music, I never picked up my phone. Which really speaks volumes. And congratulations to Ms. Durkin, and thank her for the work she did. She really started this program. Our next recognition, waiting for my mover, there we go. We want to thank Paul, how do I say his last name? Vigent, and Emily Sylvia. They are the North Andover High School senior class advisors. They've been with these students since they were freshmen. They did an amazing job facilitating the senior weeks. Here's just a few pictures of when they went to Kimball Farm, doing some boat rides, and a little bit of fun at the prom last night. Also at the high school art department hosted an art show displaying some of the amazing student art. The art teachers are Tony Delmonico, Meg Biddle, Allie Looney, and Sean Farrell. They worked tirelessly to bring this event back. This was a revival, and they're looking forward to keeping this going every year. This is a little bit of some of the artwork and just a nice look down the hallway. Also at North Andover High School, our AP students concluded 2 weeks of exams, an effort that was skillfully coordinated by the guidance counselor, Caitlin Regato. The North Andover sophomores completed their MCAS, and the freshmen are busily preparing for the biology MCAS. MCAS exams are coordinated by the guidance counselor, Sarah Coles. Both of these exams are a major undertaking, and our counselors work hard to create very well organized and efficient testing situations for our students, so thank you. This is a congratulations to our North Andover middle school teachers, Chris Nelson, Matt Ignos and Andrea Liakos. They had an excellent week of performances. They're not done, but this was a few that happened last week, which was great to see. And then keeping in the middle school, our 8th grade civics department at North Andover Middle School has had a very busy spring. This May and June, all 3 of our 8th grade teams took part in a field trip to the Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the U.S. Senate. And on Monday, June 2nd, North Andover Civic students will be attending and presenting at the Department of Education's Civic Action Project Showcase in Worcester, Massachusetts. This is the 3rd year that NAMS have sent student-led civic projects, or SLIC pros as we know them, groups to the showcase, and this year having one 8A, one 8B, and one 8C group attending, proudly representing North Andover Middle School. I'd like to give recognition to Alexander Hale. He's the valedictorian of North Andover High School. Alex currently holds the highest GPA ever earned at North Andover High School, right? Alex is self-motivated, confident, and loves to learn. He's a member of the National Honor Society. He's an AP Scholar with Honor. He earned the Harvard Book Award, and he's a member of the robotics team, chess team, the math team, and is part of the rowing club in Boston. Congratulations to Alex. I know. After reading these, I started to feel a little badly about myself. And I'd like to give recognition to the salutatorian, Nicole Kroon. Nicole has a tremendous work ethic. She's respectful, positive, hardworking, and has a love of learning. Beyond the classroom, Nicole is a standout athlete. She's a 3-season varsity captain for cross country and track, both indoor and outdoor. She has volunteered for over 3 years for the town's youth track meets. She rides her bike ahead of the young runners to outline the course. Nicole, I could have used that when I was a runner. Nicole is very community-minded and above all kind. Nicole is headed to Bryant University, where she'll be running for their university team as well. I'll say that North Andover had a lot of standouts today. I was at the award ceremony, and we heard about Alex. We also heard about the best divers and the best drivers for the robotics team, so a really talented class. Lexi Hagberg, she's a 4th grade teacher at Franklin School, and she is piloting our Eureka Math Squared pilot. You're wondering, why is this woman with tattoos on the recognition page? I'll tell you. She and her students have been working very hard this year to learn and pilot the Eureka Math Squared program. She made a deal with them for every growth point that they received on their spring map test that they could put a temporary tattoo on her. Talk about motivation. The class cumulatively grew by 261 growth points, and she is a woman of her word. On Wednesday, May 28th, our school committee member, Mr. Moskovich, Ms. Warren, and Assistant Superintendent Ando visited the Atkinson School. During their visit, the 3rd grade teachers showcased learning from the investigation history curriculum, which they've been piloting this year. Some nice photos of them. Over the weekend, North Andover High School baseball defeated North Reading. They couldn't defeat themselves. 11-8 in the finals of the Corrales division of the Haverhill Hilly Classic. The Knights erased a 6-0 deficit to take the championship. Congratulations, Knights. On May 16th, the boys and girls track team won the D2 State Relay Championship. This was for the 2nd year in a row. North Andover students, select board members, town moderator, and our own school committee member Dave Brown and other community representatives proudly represented us in the Memorial Day Parade. That's great. That happened, I think, just this week. Yeah, right. And yes, right. And finally, I'd like to give a special recognition to our seniors, Cece Cho and Harper Barrios. As being student reps here on the school council, we've watched you really grow over the 2 years. I think you came in, you were finding your voice a little bit and listening, and you've done some changes in your time here, which is wonderful. You brought some pieces about the elementary schools and the middle school to our table and brought new people along and really have informed us about the things that are happening, and you've used your voice in great ways. We're just super proud of you. We know you're going to be really successful in all the things that you do. So thank you very much. There you go. I think that ends ends it for recognition. We'll end on a high note. Not that they're all high, but you know.
Can I add a shout out?
Sure.
On the Memorial Day services were very moving, and we had good representation from our students there. You saw a picture of Vanessa Mabley, who's the soloist for Taps, and then I'm struggling to remember her name, but everybody knows who she is. Another one of our singers.
Is she the girl that sang at the last song, that senior song?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
I apologize, I don't recall her name, but she was at the awards night as well, sung at the awards night.
Mm-hmm.
Same young lady. And then you saw all the Cub Scouts from the troops that are all our students. So we were well represented there.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to comment a little bit about the visit to the Atkinson. We spent 45 minutes, 15 minutes in the room of each of the 3 third-grade teachers. They were just really wonderful teachers, articulate, caring. The lessons were fast-paced and nice variation between students listening and students participating. And then we had a chance to talk to them afterwards about it. And one of the comments was, one of the things that I noticed was they were talking to the students. The subject was town government, so us and our friends on the select board. They were talking to the students as they would have talked to us. They were not speaking down to 8-year-olds. They were speaking as they would to us. And there just didn't seem to be the children didn't seem to have any problem following them, which is really pretty neat. And when we talked afterwards, one of the comments they made was that the students, maybe I should just say that one of the reasons, and I think you and Ms. Ando have presented this before, they were adopting a new curriculum or testing a new curriculum that was put out by DESE. And the reason for using it, one of the main reasons is that it's set at a higher level. It sort of helps teachers increase their expectations for what students can do by having all the curriculum material at a higher level. And the teacher said that they were excited that the children were performing at levels that the teachers hadn't previously thought possible. And these are really good teachers. I mean, then they were obviously good teachers before they learned this. So it's really very exciting. And I believe that you're on the brink of deciding whether to recommend to adopt this more broadly. One comment I had was that one of the things that came with this from DESE was that they all got training, which they thought was very good, but they all went separately. And when I asked about it, they said probably would have been a little better had they all gone together. So if you do adopt it, I assume that there's going to be lots more training, not a little bit. And probably we'll have to pay for it, I'm not sure.
No. DESE doesn't charge us for that. We also pride ourselves on growing teacher leaders here in the district, and these folks that have been piloting will become our teacher leaders, and we'll work hard to be able to give teachers some time to be able to learn together, because I think we learn. Sometimes it's helpful having your colleagues with you while you're learning new programs. But Ms. Ando will be coming back to the school committee to talk a little bit more about the adoption of investigating history.
All right, thank you. Are we ready to move on?
Two quick things.
Okay.
One, I got to go to the 7th grade concert last week, in the jazz band concert, and although the 7th graders were great, I was very impressed by the jazz band because they did some improv solos and they were just fantastic. They were so great. And then second, it came across my email today. Community Programs has a new Excel enrichment program for the summer for every day. It's like 4 weeks long from 9 to 1, a VEX robotics club for 6th to 8th graders, I think run by Community Programs and the high school kids. So opportunity for them to get involved early. So
That's great.
sadly, I'm away. The kids are away. And we can't do it.
That's awesome, though. All right. We're going to move on to upcoming NAPS events and community events. I do want to mention that the North Andover, has their Special Olympics School Day games on June 3rd. It's from 9:45 to noon at Andover High School. It's always a heartwarming and fun, wonderful event. So if anybody gets the opportunity to go, cheer on the kids. It's really great.
We have a few other events too. So tomorrow's graduation, so everybody is to do their sun dance tonight, or at least their no rain dance would be great. Principal Holman will watch the weather. She and I will consult with each other, and by the afternoon she'll make a determination of whether or not we're indoors or outdoors. I know. We've talked about Special Olympics. The rain date for Special Olympics is June 6th if it does rain on June 3rd. On June 4th, there's Pride and Popsicles on the North Andover Common. I'll be there passing out popsicles, so if you don't have anything to do on June 4th, I invite you to join me on the 4th for Pride and join me on the Common on June 4th for Pride and Popsicles. On June 5th, North Andover Middle School does have another chorus concert at 7 p.m. It also is a school committee evening, so you have to choose. Ours is recorded, so... June 6th, the grade 8 is having their field day at the middle school. On June 10th, the 5 through 8 grade students will move up North Andover Middle School. And on June 10th, the 5th to 6th grade parent evening will take place from 6:30 to 7:30 at North Andover Middle School. And the middle school will be having their 8th grade promotion day on June 13th. Starting at 8 o'clock, they do 3 different ceremonies for each of the groups of students. I have the last days. Do you want them now, or are you doing that?
Yeah, we can go ahead and do those now.
So the last day for preschool this year is June 10th, and the last day for kindergarten is June 11th. Those are full days or are scheduled the way that the days typically run. So June 10th for preschool and June 11th for kindergarten. And then June 16th is the last day for students in grades 1 through 11, and that's an early release day. And the school committee does have to officially declare that.
When
to be
you
true.
say early release, you mean?
It's the half day, like we do at Thanksgiving, like we did at Good Friday.
Just want to make sure we say that part.
We did discuss that before, did we not? But we didn't vote on it. I think you indicated.
I have indicated when it was
Right.
going to be, but typically the school committee will make a declaration.
Madam Chair, I want to declare. I make motion to hereby declare that the last day of school for the ABEC be June 11th, and for grades 1 to 12 be June 16th as a half day, and for kindergarten be June 3rd.
June 11th is for kindergarten.
Yes.
And June 16th is for 1 through 11.
Okay. For ABEC, June 11th, and grades 1 to 12, June 16th.
Could we have a sort of virtual horn blast?
I just declared it.
Well, I'm just trying to compliment your declaration.
Do we have
A second.
All right. Go ahead and vote. Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
And I vote yes. They are official.
Yay.
Yay.
All right. Any other community events?
That's all I have.
Okay.
Just one other community event that's coming up. So on Friday after graduation, there is a party for the seniors.
Yes.
The SOS party. And I'm not, yeah, it's amazing. I've had the opportunity, I think this will be my 3rd or 4th year volunteering. And it's a safe place for all of our seniors to come and enjoy and celebrate with their friends in the school. And it is incredibly sponsored and run by parents and volunteers. And many, many people make this happen, but they need volunteers to show up and man the all night long party. And I'll be honest, I haven't looked in the past 2 or 3 days, but I know leading up to that point, we were extremely low for volunteers. So all of you, anyone who can have it a couple extra cups of coffee, please look for the sign up. It's flying around Facebook and all the various places. There's sign up sheets for the seniors, so you can go and you can pick which shift, what you want to do, and it's extremely well run and very organized. So if you're looking for a good use of your time, that's it.
And I think they're really short on that second shift
Yes.
that starts, I
Yeah.
believe, at 1:30.
Yeah, I think so. Yep. And it's one of those things. They ask for parents, they try to get it so senior parents don't have to do it, so the seniors can be there and have fun and not have mom and dad looking over their shoulder. So they really make the call out for, freshmen, sophomore, and juniors, but would challenge all of us elementary school parents too, right? That if we want this to be around for our children, we need to show up for the rest of the community. So now's a good time.
So I'd like to add, this will be my 8th
Yeah.
all-nighter
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I did it for all 3 of my kids when they were juniors, and then I've done it 4 times. This will be the 4th time since. But we really need help. It's very rewarding. It's really an awesome. And honestly, if you've never done it, I'm not going to spoil it for everybody, but there's some really, really cool stuff that happens. I'm assuming that the traditions will continue. So we don't want to broadcast what those are, but they are really cool and they're really worth it. So please, please, please help. Last time I looked, which was about 48 hours ago, they were really light on this on the late show. But also, if you're an early riser, one of the hardest shifts to staff is the 5 a.m. cleanup shift. Because by then everybody who's been there all night wants to get out of there, and so we could really use help with people coming in at 5 a.m. Takes about an hour and a half. You're out of there by 6:30. So.
And there'll be coffee.
And
Yep.
there will be
And lots of food. There's
thank
tons
you.
of food.
Actually, one of the benefits of this when you volunteer is you get fed all night long, and it's good stuff. Comes from a lot of, and we should actually shout out to the vendors who,
Numerous.
who regularly do this. Stachi's Pizza is always there. I mean, but many others. I know I couldn't mention them all, but there is some really good food, and it's there all night and in the morning.
Yep.
So if you do that morning shift, you'll get a good breakfast. So.
Yep. So we need parents to show up to do this for our kids.
All right, thank you.
The locks up top.
Up top is the lock.
It's very warm in the room for anyone who's wondering what's going on. We're trying to open windows. There we go.
Okay. All right, let's move on to what we all look forward to, the budget presentation.
All right. So let's just start with a few more pictures because that always makes us feel good. These are some pictures of our seniors. A couple things I want to highlight on here is I had the opportunity, so in the upper, I don't know, what is that, right-hand corner, I had the opportunity to go to the After Dark senior graduation. So our After Dark students are our students who participate in school at North Andover High School during the day, and then they go in the afternoon after school ends to Greater Lawrence Technical School where they go to school, I think, until like 5 or 7 to learn a trade. So they leave high school with their high school diploma from North Andover High School as well as a certificate in a trade. I believe this is our second year participating and our first year having graduates. It was really moving to be able to go to that graduation and see all of the students. Lawrence participates, Methuen, North Andover, Andover in the After Dark program. One of the things that they were most proud about is that all of their students that were graduating with an HVAC certificate already have jobs, which was really impressive. Yeah, I know. Great. Also, what you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner here is our principal, Ms. Holman, and Director of Guidance, Meg Pinkston, who were hosting our scholarship night the other night, which was great. The bottom, I'm just going to skip around. So up top corner is some of our Thompson School graduates who visited Thompson School and took the picture with the Thompson School sign. In the middle here is a picture of today. These are our graduates marching in for the school assembly today for the school awards, which was great. The bottom picture is our called Early College program. So this is Merrimack College. So the people that are standing there, with the exception of Ms. Pinkston, are all from Merrimack College. They're the teachers that taught the program. They come to North Andover High School, and the students are able to participate in Merrimack College courses, and they received their certificate on that day, so I was able to go to that. And they'll have some special cords, I believe, that they're wearing at graduation tomorrow. And then the bottom right corner is our Kittredge students who visited Kittredge School today. We have students who are visiting Thompson tomorrow, Thompson was today, Atkinson tomorrow, and Franklin tomorrow as well. So really nice to see those pictures. So before we go on to the next slide, I just want to make a couple of comments. Ms. Crawford, I'm really glad that you stayed after your public comment, because I think that you're going to be pleased with some of the things that I have to share here tonight. And Ms. Gately, I appreciate the comments that you made as well. I want to just remind everyone the process in terms of how funding happens in the school budget. So the school committee has the responsibility to approve the school budget. So once, if there's any other money or funding that comes in, once that money or funding comes in, you have to make an amendment to the school budget. The budget that I presented to them was a $68.2 million budget. Tonight is the first opportunity that I've had to meet with the school committee since town meeting, which I'll have an opportunity to share with them what my recommendations are for using that additional $1 million, and I'll show it to them where it is in the budget, because they ultimately are the ones that make the decisions, the final vote, based on my recommendations and the recommendations of leadership team, but ultimately they'll make the decisions about where those funds go. So much so that when we move forward in the school year, if we find that the funding is not adequate in one of those line items, we come back to the school committee and we ask for approval to be able to shift some of that money to someplace else. So that's one of the responsibilities of the school committee to continue to watch that. Which is why we haven't heard information from me yet, which is why, and I hope people had an opportunity to read the letter I shared, which is why I haven't publicly shared these ideas, because it's my responsibility as the superintendent to share that with the school committee first. I also want to thank the voters and thank the North Andover Teachers Association, as well as the groups that worked tirelessly to help garner this extra $1 million to our budget. It was clear that you had large support at the town meeting, and that you have, I know many people gave up weekends, marched, walked in the rain, visiting with community members to share their message. I appreciate the presentation made by Mr. Roberts. I think it was Rogers, and the suggestions of where that funding would go. Again, I just want to remind everyone that we are a town, and it would, for me, I think what could be dangerous, well, I know that this group of people, you all worked with best intentions, and I think that you're going to see some of our ideas on how to use this money in a way that I think you'll feel good. I hope you'll feel good. But ultimately, someone could come to town meeting floor and propose to add money to the budget, would put a condition on it that could be detrimental to our school system. And I know as a resident, I would never want to see that. So I want to say loudly that I hear what our residents have said. We listen. I think the school committee is also very interested, but I also would caution us that it could be I'm maybe speaking more as a resident, but also as a superintendent, because I would have to enforce those rules if we were to allow people on school on town meeting floor to appropriate where money would go. Some very scary things could happen for our school system if that's the way we went. So I appreciate the maybe latitude or open-mindedness that folks have given us the last few weeks in order to process where this money might go, to be able to look at some of the needs that we have, and then to give me an ability tonight to share with the school committee where I think these funds should be used. So I'm going to go to the next slide. So what you're going to see on this slide is the budget. So you see the you see the 26 school committee voted budget, which was $68.2 million on the slide. And then you're going to see in the next column the additional 26 town meeting voted budget, which was $69.2 million. I highlighted in yellow the areas where I believe and our leadership team would like to make the recommendations that we appropriate that money to those. Yes? There are, can you pull, if you get out of the slideshow for a second. Now click on it. Now pull it bigger. Pull it bigger.
Grab a corner. Yeah, that's right.
Now go back to the slideshow, and it should make it.
You can also do Control Plus. Control Plus.
I don't think they're in there. It was a separate packet. There you go. Is that bigger?
No.
Oh. I think when we go to the next page, you'll be able to see what you want to see. But oopsies. Sorry. Okay. So what you see here is where I'm making recommendations for some additions. So if you look in the elementary section and underneath salaries, I'm recommending that we add an additional half-time music teacher to the elementary school salary line item.
So a half, a music teacher?
Adding a half of a music teacher. This will allow us, so if you remember, we added an additional class. Oh, there we go. And can we get, I don't know if that one will go on back there.
Well, there you go.
Mr. Hicks to the rescue.
AV squad.
We added an additional class to Sergeant School. We have some other areas where we might be able to use some music support. So we're making the recommendation of an additional FTE music teacher. We do support our programs, students with music, which usually is separate outside of the classroom. And we would like to be able to do that with this position as well. In the middle school, we're recommending an additional social studies teacher. I'm going to talk a little bit, I'm almost wondering if it's easier to go to the next page, but we'll keep it there for a second. Recommending an additional social studies teacher. If you remember, I showed you a slide that in 7th grade we had one team that was going to be a 4-person team, and the teachers were going to have to, take on teaching social studies, so teach their subject and then also teaching social studies. So adding one social studies teacher to the middle school. At the high school, I'm making a recommendation of using, so these are actual costs. So you can see the half-time middle school teacher, what the cost with that would be, and what a 1.0 social studies teacher would be. At the high school, we're making a recommendation to add $100,000 to the Greater Lawrence After Dark program. That was the program that I spoke about a few minutes ago. The After Dark program originally had 7 students in it. We are projecting 17 students for next year. This is something that was an unanticipated cost. One of the things that we have realized is that the contract that we have with Greater Lawrence Tech needs to have some revisions because there isn't a cap on the amount of students that they can accept. So inadvertently, we budgeted for what we anticipated because what we knew was that we had 7 students there and they accepted 17 new students, which now we have a responsibility. This is something that when this contract was negotiated, the school department took on the paying the fee of this, as opposed to the town manager, who if you remember from town meeting, you saw Greater Lawrence Tech. Those are students who are day students. That adds to our school budget. I do think this is a contract. I have reached out to town council. I do think that we need to meet with Greater Lawrence Technical School as well as Melissa Rodriguez, our town manager, and council in order to revisit this contract moving forward and put some parameters on either the students how many we're accepting so that we can plan appropriately, and then what the funding source looks like for this.
You can't really budget for it if the decisions are made at the last minute.
Correct. So that is what happened this year, but moving forward, I'd like to renegotiate that contract so that we can have better control over what's happening. And there are grants through the Department of Education that are available to us. Chapter 74, could be wrong about that. There are CTE grants that we are eligible for now because of this that we will be pursuing.
And this is the program you just
I
talked
just
about.
talked about.
That talked about where we have students who not only are getting their high school diploma, are also certified and
Getting a trade.
another training, and now already have jobs secured.
Correct.
Afterwards. So this is something very positive.
It's
to
extremely
do
positive,
for,
and it is a lot of hard work on those students. They come to North Andover High School during the day, and then they basically go to high school again at night.
And it's different than our students, which we also pay differently for, going to Greater Lawrence Tech.
Yes.
Those students make the choice in 8th grade to go to the Tech.
And they receive all of their
Correct.
education at the Tech, their academic as well as
These are
their
students
trade.
that have made the choice a little later on that
Yes.
we also want to support in a
Mhm.
different way.
Yes.
okay.
We are also making a recommendation of an additional 1.6 world language teachers.
I'm
Right?
sorry,
Oh.
Superintendent Lathrop. I just want to. So this additional 100,000, this would allow us for this coming school year to support those 17 students
Correct.
who've been accepted. So we'd need to, like you said, think about what this means for the next budget.
Yes, for
But this money would
FY27.
allow us to support those students doing this.
Yes.
and
Right
getting
now, it's under
jobs.
budgeted.
Okay.
So it's incremental 10 over what we expected?
Yes.
It was 7. We expected 7. We got 17.
Correct. Making the recommendation to add an additional 1.6 world language teachers. That I can talk a little bit about now. I put it in the high school line item. We may have to move that a little bit because that would mean some recall adding those teachers back. So that would allow us to have the opportunity to take our current 8th graders who are participating in German and allow them to the same that we have for that the same rights that we're giving to our students who are currently in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade in order to be able to continue their journey of German in 9th grade. And it would allow us to also bring a teacher back to the middle school, which would allow us to offer our students a full year of language in 8th grade. A full year of language in 8th grade. The $68.2 million budget allowed us to offer 2 semesters of a language. This will allow every student to have 3 semesters of a language.
Of which language?
I sent out a survey to our families during this time and asked them to indicate if they would, what their child might be interested in. And it was predominantly Spanish, but we did have a nice showing of French as well. So right now we're looking at a French class and offering having 1 French teacher and 2 Spanish teachers. We still have a little bit of work to do with that in terms of that was a preliminary number that we asked our families to give us. If you vote on this, Mr. Gonzalez will send out a formal survey so that we can determine exactly, but that's what we believe it will be.
So the additional 164,000 gives this. I just want to make sure I'm not trying to put it, but it's a full year of French or a full year of Spanish
at the high school, which will give those students the opportunity to start right in 9th grade. So they
in 9th grade,
right, instead of what our option was before, or 2 options. Before was 2/3, 2 semesters out of 3. And then one of the options we looked at was bringing back another Spanish teacher so all students could have Spanish, but then that doesn't give students the opportunity to start in 9th grade. They would have to start French in 9th grade. So this gives them an opportunity to have French in 8th grade if that's what they choose. And then it gives 8th graders the opportunity to have German at the high school. And it allows us to look at our German program. So one of the things, so we have talked about a phase out of our German program, which is why we weren't offering it to our 9th graders. Ms. Holman and I and Ms. Ando and Mr. Gonzalez, we've chatted about that. I think that what our approach is it's a little bit easier. Thank you. I think what our approach should be is that we should keep data as of our students who are participating in these programs, and whether or not maybe the recommendation next year is not to phase out the program. I think next year, FY26 is our year to keep data, to see what our students are interested in. I've talked about the fact that we have to come together as a community to discuss lots of things, where language being one of them. And are we offering what, the survey was interesting that I sent out to the 7th grade families. Some of the families wrote back, I think we should be offering Mandarin. That's a language that our students, are probably going to serve them better in the world. So I think I'd like to have the opportunity to hear from our community before we say we're going to phase something out. That may still happen, but we may introduce something new. But yes, so that would bring back, we have an opportunity to bring a German position back to the middle school.
So
I mean, the high school, sorry. Oops, high school.
High school.
Yes.
So
to let the 8th graders finish out, right?
The
essentially.
8th graders will finish out, and it will, and then to look at the needs of the current German students, and making sure that we're matching them with the right learning environment and the right skill set.
So if I get it all correctly, this potentially would allow us to have our current 7th graders going into 8th grade a full year of either French or Spanish, and it would allow our current 8th graders going to high school to continue taking German,
correct,
and or French or Spanish,
correct,
through the entirety of their high school time.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
How many 8th grade German students are there? Sorry, it wasn't meant to be a trick question.
Enough for a class.
I don't know the answer to that. And we did originally have there's somebody here that may know the answer to that. We did originally poll our 8th grade students to ask them if they'd like to take German, but then we have also shared with our 8th grade students that German wasn't available. So there will have to be a little bit into Louine's point. That is why it's making scheduling so difficult at the high school, because some of these decisions have just taken a little bit more time. I want to say, and I could be wrong, I have a look at my phone, I probably could find it, but I want to say I think 58 students expressed interest. That can't be right.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of students.
Maybe it was 24. I don't know. I can find the answer for you, though.
Even 24 is a lot, though, right? That would want to do. That's a class.
Full class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a full class. It's not 4. It's not 10.
And I
right?
wouldn't quote me on that, because
Okay,
I
but
could be
that's-
thinking about who's moving to 9th grade and
Okay.
11th grade. So without the, yeah.
I'm sure you're seeing a lot of
Yeah,
I
a lot
have
of
a
numbers,
lot of
right?
numbers
Yeah,
running in my
okay.
head.
But the good news here, right, is the middle school, 8th grade, they're going to get a full year of Spanish or a full year of French is what we're looking at, which is a big
Correct.
change.
I heard from a lot of
That's great.
students, a lot of parents, a lot of community members, a lot of alumni, as I'm sure all of you did. Language is important to this community. It is something that people feel very strongly about, and I would recommend that we put those positions, return them.
Yeah. I had a foreign language every year since 2nd grade, right? So it's key.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said to someone who said, you don't value world language, and that I hope there's no way if people know who I am or know about me, but I hope you know that I wouldn't be sitting in this seat if I didn't value everything about education. I think we should have an immersion program in our preschool and our kindergarten. That's really where you need to start learning languages. I think we should be having band in the elementary school. I think we should have a strings program. I think a lot of things. We're not at that stage yet that we're able to put all of those things into the schools, but the future of North Andover, I think, looks really bright with all of the advocacy that we have here in this room, as well as in the community, to really work towards those things and giving people an opportunity. I mean, those are what Pam Lathrop wants to see, but that may not be what the community wants to see. Okay, moving on. Where am I now? In special education, we have added in the expense side funds for out-of-district tuitions. We've talked to you about this before, that out-of-district tuitions have increased. We have had some recent move-ins, and we anticipate that may continue to happen. It would be challenging if we did not have additional money in the expense area in order to pay for that.
I remember, I might be wrong, when we had the purple budget, that included more towards this number that we have here, and it was like there was a smidge of cushion there, and then that went away when we brought it down to 68.2, and
we still had a little smidge of cushion, I believe, in the 68.2. We have had some recent move-ins, or some students that and it's really hard to talk about this. This is by no means a reflection on our students or our families. That's the reality that our students are needing some of the supports, and so.
And if they need it,
our cushion is not. Yeah.
I get it.
A question about that. So, a big part of our current malaise, for lack of a better word, is because we kind of had a surprise on that 2 years ago, right? Where the providers were allowed to increase their rates by 14%.
Yes.
Have we had any communication about that, or do we know for sure they're keeping their rates where they are?
No, we have heard from them about increases in rates from SEAM, right?
SEAM is going up, I believe, a little over 9%. Collaboratives are a little bit different than the private day schools and the residential private schools. We have been made aware that a few of the private schools are also petitioning to raise their rates through the OST process. They have not named the rate yet. So we have that sort of in.
And so the stuff that we are aware of, is this supposed to take effect in September?
It takes effect July 1st.
July 1st, so it will be for next year.
I thought that we get a letter from DESE in October, and if I'm not mistaken, the chair actually found this, didn't you? And very impressive. So my understanding is that we are informed in October of what the rates are going to be the following year.
So we are informed by October 1st if a private out-of-district school is petitioning for an increase in their tuition. It has not been approved, and at times, the rate is not confirmed. But we are informed by October 1st if they are petitioning for a rate increase.
So if we hear that they are petitioning, what rate do we put in the budget when we prepare it?
So I do, if they list the rate, we do that rate.
I'm sorry?
If they list the rate in the letter, I do that rate in the projection.
Perfect.
And if they don't get that rate, then that's okay. If they don't, then I sort of do an average. And that average, I'm a conservative average person, so 7 to 10%. Sometimes it can be more.
Can we, I mean, this sounds like we ought to raise this with Desi, that if you don't apply for it by October, you can't.
Well,
it's just really impossible for us to budget. It
Well,
sounds
that's
like
the
what
same
you did
thing
makes total sense, but if they say, well, it's true that they didn't apply, but they're going to apply later and we're going to approve it, that I don't think that's
they
acceptable.
apply, but you don't know if it's approved yet.
No, I get that, but
But-
what you did makes perfect sense, but
It's the same with the 14% a few years ago. All year, we sort of anticipated and hoped that the state would step in, and then anticipated, and several districts didn't budget for the 14% because the information that we had was that it was more than likely that the state was going to offset that in some way. But then that didn't happen, and the 14% was the district's responsibility.
right, but it doesn't seem to me unreasonable for us to say to Desi, you need to decide by October. I mean, we're not the only district.
I think that's
How
something
can we
that
budget
you-
responsibly if they make
Right.
decisions about rates at the last minute?
I think that's something certainly that the school committee could do. School committee can write a letter. The Merrimack Valley Superintendents Association, we invited all of the our legislators to a breakfast a couple, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago now. It was well attended. Senator Feingold was there. Senator Tarr was there. Representative Ramos was there. And many others. I'm sorry if I didn't say everybody. I want to make sure. And the superintendents gave a really robust presentation about special education costs and how it is really challenging to do a school budget, and how it is between special education costs, between transportation, and that we asked for some help from the legislative. I would encourage school committee to do that as well. Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents has been very active. We have committee members that are considered our legislative members. So I have sent out probably 6 to 8 emails in the last 2 weeks to the senators about bills that are in place now, urging them to raise the rate. Senator Feingold has reached out to us about transportation. Ms. O'Neill and our transportation coordinator, Lucy McCarthy, he is doing a pilot group of looking at some alternatives to transportation. So I've asked them to join that pilot group and sit in on that. But it is time that we have to reach out to the legislators to really talk about how this is challenging for districts.
Could I also ask, so you have, if I heard you correctly, 270,000 of unexpected out-of-district tuition, is that?
This was an allocation of funds that I put into the expense line item to be able to support out-of-district tuitions that we may have and that we see on the horizon.
So what I wanted to ask about is the manager recommended that the reserve for unexpected special ed costs or tuition costs be made from the finance committee reserve instead of from our reserve, and there were technical reasons that our reserve was structured in such a way it didn't actually do what it appeared to do. So if my understanding was that the finance committee kind of assumes that some portion of that reserve, I seem to remember $500,000, but I could be wrong, they understood that you can't always anticipate, and that this is the town together made a choice that that's where this uncertainty would be dealt with. So I'm wondering, I think you're right to anticipate uncertainty. I guess the question is, do we need to do it here, or is the understanding with the select board and the FinCom such that there's a certain amount that we can essentially assume is in reserve, at their request actually, is in reserve somewhere else to handle uncertainty here?
So I think what you're talking about is that we withdrew the funds from the special education stabilization account, and while that account didn't close, it doesn't have funds in it. And one of the reasons that the select board and the finance committee was recommending the closing of the special education stabilization fund is that the only way you can access that fund is through town meeting. And so we have to wait till town meeting in order to apply for that funding. So we run really a deficit for most of the year. And if they don't, if for some reason they didn't approve it, then we wouldn't have that funding. Where the difference with the reserve that's in the FinCom's budget is that you can access that funding by a petition at any point during the school year. And then they raise that reserve, I believe, and with the understanding that we may go. I think that there is an expectation that if we have known or expected expenditures, that we will budget for them, and that we would go to the reserve if we had unanticipated above and beyond. I think this is a conservative amount of money based on what we have seen trending in terms of what we might expect, some things that we may see on the horizon in that expense item. And I think we may also be petitioning to the FinCom at some point next year to access that reserve above and beyond this.
The difference is this money that's allocated here is within would be within our new budget if we approve it, right? Whereas
Correct.
we'd have to go to FinCom to request, right? They have to approve.
Correct.
Right, that request.
Well, but
I think
this was
there's a
actually,
difference there.
this was their request.
Do you want me to finish
It was
going
their idea to
going
do it
through
this
before
way.
we get to questions? Do you want me to finish before we go to questions? How about if I finish going through the whole million before we get to questions?
sorry.
Yeah, okay, no problem. In special education, there is additional funding for salaries for a RISE teacher, for a ETL educational team leader, and for a transportation specialist. I can let Ms. O'Neill speak a little bit about the transition specialist, but in the $68.2 million budget, we had made some recommendations to perhaps do some grouping of students, hoping that we might be able to collapse, or we were planning to having to collapse some programs, and we had not yet shared with the community or you potential teaching assistant layoffs. So what now with the additional million, we are making the recommendation to use some of that money to fund an additional RISE teacher. So this would be something new to the budget. The students, we need the teacher. We will do it anyway, whether this goes towards that or we make other kinds of cuts. And then the educational team leader is for half-time at the ABECC and half-time at the Thompson School. ABECC has been we've been using a grant to fund the current educational team leader that we won't have access to any longer. And the educational team leader who's at Thompson School, currently her job is part-time educational team leader and part-time speech and language therapist. We have not been able to this year. We weren't able to fill all of our speech and language therapist positions, and we've been using contracted services. So this person will go back to a full-time speech and language therapy position so that we can end our contracted services. So we have to fill the 0.5 ETL position at the Thompson School. You're on. 0.5 transition specialist.
So a transition specialist, let me see if I can get to my overview. A transition specialist is a position within the school district that you are supposed to have. It's a position that's recommended by the Department of Education to really focus on helping students who are in special education from the ages of 14 through age 22 really realize their vision to be engaged and productive community members. So they are responsible for developing, planning, supporting through consult or through direct service provision for students, the transition services. Those transition services include something, it could be pretty minor around self-advocacy skills. So students who have an IEP that are trending towards college understand how they learn best and what services they will need to access as they transition into college, or how they go about getting their driver's license. And then we have students that perhaps will stay with us till age 22, and those students need to learn vocational skills, employment skills, recreation and leisure skills, community-based skills, with the goal, the goal really is that if our student population who leaves us at age 22 is prepared for competitive work and employment, that's the goal. And there are lots of other levels and layers as well. And the transition specialist helps to guide really what they call person-centered planning. So meeting with the student, thinking about the student's vision, the family's vision, what's that going to look like around, academics, around travel training, around health and wellness, around good decision making, around community skills, employment skills, etc. This person is somebody that will work with, will be a district person working with our population that, needs the coaching.
And then under system-wide, thank you, Ms. O'Neill. Under system-wide, we have added an additional $100,000 for our homeless and foster transportation. Our costs are rising in this area. We've had costs that have increased just this month due to family needs. And then we have $20,000 in salaries. We currently have CBAs, collective bargaining agreements that we're in the process of negotiating, as well as individual contracts that we are negotiating, and $20,000 goes towards salaries goes towards that. If you go to the next slide, it just shows it a little bit bigger, and it looks at the dollar amount. So it's everything that I just said, and if you can't really see that graph, that chart, that shows you that in social studies in the middle school, that was the team that needed a social studies teacher. And then in terms of special education, I just want to, so everything that's not highlighted on the salary side is well, with the exception of the CBA placeholder, I should have highlighted that. But everything that's not highlighted is a position that would be a recall position or something that we're bringing back that was cut. The ones that are highlighted would be considered new positions, which is the RISE teacher and the transition specialist.
Superintendent Lathrop, here it says 1.8 world language. On the other slide, it said 1.6.
It's supposed to say 1.6. My error.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. And then just the bottom line number shows you what we're spending on what we're proposing to spend on salaries, $528,199, and what we're proposing to spend on expenses, $471,801. And that's the end of my presentation.
All right. So are there any other questions that want to be asked about this?
I have a couple. The cost of homeless transportation is just very frustrating.
It is.
Not your fault at all, but it's just very expensive. And I wonder, can we get any help from the two collaboratives?
We already participate in transportation from the collaborative. We have a rate that we use with them. We have reached out to them at various times when we needed certain kinds of transportation. I think we're getting all the help that we can. That is one of the things that Senator Feingold is working on. That's that pilot group that I've asked Ms. O'Neill and Ms. McCarthy to be part of in terms of looking at alternative. It's very hard to find transportation. Transportation drivers have to be vetted. There's lots that come our way that seem to have, cheaper prices, but they don't pass our security. They don't pass our vetting process in order for us to employ them to quite honestly, bring some of the most vulnerable children in places where they need to go. But it is an extremely high cost.
I guess part of my question is whether there are economies to scale. People generally don't know this, but I've volunteered to serve on the CREST board so that you only have to work 12-hour days instead of 14-hour days. But I'm happy to push them on this. Can they do it less expensively than we can, or not?
No, we already contract with our collaboratives. We get a contracted rate with SEAM.
We do use CREST for particular runs as well.
Well, I don't care which one. I just wonder if there are no economies to scale, then it doesn't really matter that much.
That's what makes it. Oh, sorry. It's what makes it really challenging when you look. Well, this is more for out-of-district tuitions, but that's what makes it really challenging when you think about the rate that you receive back from the state, because it doesn't factor in some of these other things like transportation. And so once that all gets factored in, you're really not getting the rate that you're anticipating to get back.
I'm sorry, can you just say that again?
So, go ahead. Do you want to?
So for out of district, at the end of the school year, we then go through our circuit breaker claim, and we do our file where we input all of the students whose cost is over the given threshold, right? Within the last 5-ish years, the state has included some costs of transportation to be included in that claim, but it is not 100% of the cost of transportation. It's very cumbersome to get transportation to be accepted in your claim. The tuition, the services, the other pieces, we have, that's sort of a well-oiled machine. The transportation is trickier. And
this
so
is for special ed students, not homeless students.
Yes.
Right.
And then there's yeah.
I think what's difficult sometimes when we think about our unhoused students is a lot of it is dependent on where they might be able to secure housing temporarily, and that we just don't know. And they have every right to keep attending the school that they're enrolled in for stability, because that's what really important for them, and we need to pay for that.
We do cost share that. So if we have an unhomed student, typically we'll cost share with the community that they may have moved into.
I'm confused by the word foster there.
Foster care may be students who are foster care students. So if they're placed in foster care, but they move outside of North Andover, they still have the same rights, and we would want that. This is the comfort. This is what they know to be able to attend school, and we pay that cost of transportation.
So I had it's sort of a general question. As we were approaching the budget vote, I think most of us were looking forward to voting for $69 million, because we saw that most of the things in that extra $1 million were worth doing, and we were persuaded not to on the argument that given the teacher's contract, the increase in the teacher's contract a year from now, those positions, absent an override, we would only be able to fund them if we used the $2 million in excess levy funds that was available. You know, the recommendations you make are consistent with what we learned then, that the stuff that just missed at 68 are things worth doing. So I'm curious about, I think all of us have pretty committed to the idea that we're going to work with the rest of town to see about an override vote, of which we're a part, but not all. But if that effort is not successful, then how much of these?
Yeah, so if the effort's not successful, we would have to make hard decisions. But I also want to say that I do think that next year is our year to make determinations of what we're spending our money on, and is that the priority of the district, and do we want to spend our money in those areas? This year, we did a level service budget that we took what we're currently spending our money on and just moved all of those services forward, which is what got us to that 71 point something. What I believe we need to do, and what I recommend we do next year, is a strategic plan, our town hall meeting types, where we talk about the programming that we have in place, and is this the correct way to be spending our funding? So potentially, if we were not to have an override next year, we may have to make some other kinds of cuts. It may not be these things that I'm showing you here. There may be some other things that we uncover that we say this might be the program that we choose. It will be, again, another hard decision to make if that doesn't happen. But I do believe that we have the support of many people in the community to move forward with asking for, and I think the community is actually asking us to tell them, what do we need? What do we truly need to be the exemplary school system that we want? So quite honestly, I'm thinking that I'm going to share with you in October, November, December next year a budget that's really is much larger than what anybody has anticipated, because those are the true needs now that we've had some time to really look at that, and forward thinking, much to the things that I said earlier, that there are things that our district should be affording to our students that we need to plan for. No, I don't think next year, don't want anyone to say that, Ms. Lathrop said at school committee that we're going to have a strings program next year. I didn't say that, but I do think that should be part of our long-term 5-year plan in terms of looking at what we want to add to our school district and how we're going to get there. So it was a very long answer to your question.
No, I actually thought it was a very good answer.
The bottom line is, I feel very comfortable supporting and asking you to support these salaries, knowing that we may have to make hard decisions again, because I do believe that the will of the community is that they will work hard for us to be able to keep the things that we think are important to our district.
Yes, one quick, I just want to, because the hard decisions, that word has gotten, people have a hard time. So if we get to that point, hard decisions, if we don't end up with having the commitment that we think we will hopefully have from the community. Hard decisions means most likely layoffs, correct? I just want to kind of but it's not nice.
It may
I just
mean
want
layoffs, it may mean a cut of a program.
Cut of a program, but I just want to say those words, so because the hard decisions, that term was used before and wasn't always clear. So I just say, no one's saying that no one wants that, but that's what that phrase means. Potentially, right?
It does potentially mean that. And we are going to watch very closely our budget this year and stay true to our numbers and report in an appropriate manner to the school committee. And there may be hard decisions to make throughout the school year.
So just everyone who thinks we're not paying attention and not doing that, not advocating, this is where the passion that people have had, we need to keep that passion in the community. It's not a one-hit wonder, right? We need to continue to have that. It's great to see people at our meetings. Many meetings, we've had no one at our meetings. So this is fantastic, and continuing to have that community support, because we do listen, we do care. That's why we're here. So knowing that the community cares as well and continuing to have that engagement is really important.
You're so spot on, because really when you think about building a school budget comes from your district goals. So I'd love to see the community engage with us next year when we're making our district goals, come to school committee when the principals are presenting their school improvement plans, so that you know what the goals are of the district, because the goals are what drives the budget. And that's a great way of being able to advocate for the needs of our students, because we have clearly defined goals in our district.
Then just one question on the transition specialist. So I know we're getting the position sounds so key and important. So is this the first time we've had a transition specialist, or is this in addition to what we've already had?
North Andover has not had a transition specialist. North Andover probably has staff that are endorsed as transition specialists, but there's been nobody in that role.
Okay, so this is a fantastic addition to really help enable those students launching and continuing to launch into life.
I'm sorry, on that, so we've actually been non-compliant in that, right? In that regard.
It's not a compliance area that is actually monitored, but it is an area in which it's It's important,
Right.
but it's not through our tiered focus monitoring, what used to be called the special education audit. They are not looking for us to produce who is the transition specialist.
So it's a recommended practice, I guess would be a better way to put it.
It is, but they say it's, I would even say it's a recommended requirement.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we're getting a little noisy in the audience. Can we just please keep the volume down? Thank you.
And then just one more question. So so the need for transition specialist, was this pointed out in the special ed audit that was done? Just wondering, is this?
This was pointed out, I can't remember if it was actually listed in the Urban Collaborative report. However, it really speaks to that, that the rigorous, service delivery for our most vulnerable students. So, and
I'm
we
going to say it
have,
speaks to the wonderful interim special education director that we have brought on board.
There you go.
Who has made recommendations, and that's our goal, to bring forth to the school committee areas that we think that we have not been doing the right thing. And so that's something that Lynn brought forward to us.
Thank you.
All right. Other questions?
The ones in yellow, the rise and the transition specialists, are technically new positions that we're adding.
Correct.
People that were laid off, so people won't necessarily be automatically recalled. They can't be automatically recalled into those positions because you have to go through the HR process of posting and interviewing all the potential candidates.
It depends.
It depends. But
So if
is there a strong likelihood that we'll be able to keep people that we've had in our district here in those newly defined roles?
I don't know about the newly defined roles,
Okay.
because there are certain certifications that you
Yep.
need to be part of to be the RISE teacher or the transition specialist. So a couple of things I probably haven't shared with you, I maybe have, and we haven't, it was leading up to town meeting, and maybe we didn't highlight it as much. But we had 2 open positions at one of our elementary schools this year, just by either someone choosing to leave but we have 2 open positions at our elementary school. And so we had 8 elementary teachers who were laid off. We just gave those 8 elementary teachers, they were all non-PTS, non-professional teaching status, which means that they don't have the same recall rights as a professional teaching status teacher. So we asked the 8 teachers if they would be interested in applying for the job. We only posted it to those 8 teachers. The 8 teachers all had an opportunity to interview for those 2 positions. And so we did rehire 2 people from those 8 prior to town meeting into those 2 positions. Also prior to town meeting, we had moved a teacher from the middle school, took a position as a district coach, and we left her position vacant in order to recall the one Spanish teacher at the middle school, which we did prior to town meeting. We have had a resignation in world language at the high school, so we were able to recall one teacher already into that position due to that resignation. Now, if these positions are approved tonight, the first thing we will do is look at professional teaching status teachers. So if you have professional teaching status and you were laid off and you have the ability to teach one of these positions, that's a recall right, where you have the opportunity we tell you that position's open, we tell you that you have the certification for it, we ask you if you'd like to move into it, and you have a certain amount of time in order to determine if you're going to do that or not. Mr. Landry handles that from HR. If you're non-professional teacher status and we have an open position, we will do so. Let's look at the social studies teaching position, for example. The teachers who were laid off from that position were non-professional teaching status. They will have anyone that has that certification will have the ability to apply for that position, but they don't have recall rights.
Thank you. So this is 5.5 positions that are being added back, if I did my arithmetic correctly.
I trust you.
5.6. I did the
Yeah.
1.5 in my head. But we also, since we passed the $68.2 million budget back in February, March, whenever it was, since then, you have gone through the process of adding back other positions and doing some recall.
Yes.
So the original number that you had laid off, unfortunately, unfortunately had a layoff has gotten smaller already, and this will make it even
It
smaller.
will make it even smaller. Now then, but the two positions, rise and transition, have no recall rights because those are new positions to the budget. Nobody had them before. So obviously, if there's somebody that lost a position and is certified, we would certainly entertain interviewing them first. But those are positions that we will post.
Can I ask? So at one point we had something called the purple budget, right? Which was, I believe, about where this would take us. So is this
I left purple behind, but okay.
Well, yeah, no, I know. But this,
Is this about the same as the purple? Is
I
that what
think
you're
the
asking
numbers
me?
are about the same, and I'm curious. This isn't exactly what you had then.
It's
and of
not
course,
exactly
you've learned a
the
lot in the
same.
last 3 months about what our real needs are and what our real status is. So, I'm just curious. Was there something in that, and I can't, find it right now, that you decided not to bring back in lieu of doing some of these? So in other words, you have some, right, you have-
absolutely, right?
yeah.
We cut an art teacher at the middle school. We are not advocating to bring that position back. We closed an elementary school. I'm not advocating to reopen the elementary school. We eliminated a business teacher at the high school. I'm not advocating to bring that position back. I think there's an English position at the high school. So there are certainly positions, and the reason why I'm not advocating for some of those positions over these is that's because of the work that Ms. Pinkston and Mrs. Holman have done at the high school in terms of looking at enrollment in those classes, student choice. We had some very small classes, and again, they were wonderful. I think it is a testament to North Andover High School. It's why we have these students that are these shining stars. But we looked at I looked at the needs of our building and needs of our students, and these took precedent over those positions.
Okay.
Doesn't devalue them in any way. As a parent, it's like when you say, I had to make this choice over that choice. It doesn't devalue anybody in your home, but it's a choice that you felt as though was in the best interest of all.
Right. I guess I asked because there's new things here that weren't there. So just trying to understand why you went in that. I'm not saying it's wrong, just why you went in that direction.
Well, I think too, and I'm just going to add, since we've talked about that budget and had to really consider the choices that had to be made and the cuts, and then we were able to have a lot of community advocacy of where people really wanted to see positions and where they wanted to see that money to go. And I think that was a big influence that we didn't have when that budget was created.
Yeah.
Okay. We've heard people say that using money and holding them in reserves, generally people have not reacted well to that. But if if the out of district tuition money, how confident are you that we're going to spend it? Like I don't want to because at the end of the year, if we don't spend money, it goes back into the general fund, and we can but how? We can't
We're
say
going to
students
spend.
we have
I'm
some.
really confident that we're going to need that money, and that we most likely will be asking to maybe use some money from the reserve.
In addition to that.
Correct.
And that's just based on what's currently happening now in terms of trends and other cases and meetings that are happening that we can not say much more about.
Right.
And from what I understand, typically we do a first read and a second read, but we're on a time limit due to course offerings.
We're at a time limit due to course offerings. We have teachers who have been laid off. Some have been offered other positions that we would like to be able to offer them a recall if possible.
Okay. So do you want us to put it under continued business, or do we want to?
I would like you to vote if you feel comfortable voting.
My thought is, for me, I guess, and I'll ask the opinion of the committee, is I wasn't able to hear a lot of the public comment, and I'd like to have that one more opportunity before placing my vote.
I did say, I might have messed it all up too. I did say at the beginning that we would be discussing this and that we would hear more public comment at the end. I think it would be appropriate for us to hear public comment on the discussion before we.
Okay.
Because
so
afterwards it feels like we
Yeah.
voted, it discounts what might be said. So I think that is important. I don't know how to make that work.
So what I can do is I'm going to move this vote to after the last public comment. It'll be the last thing that we vote on prior to our adjournment vote, if the committee's in agreement with that.
That's fine. We would need to suspend our rules to
Yes,
do this.
yes, we would.
Right.
Yeah, as long as we vote tonight to allow Superintendent Leaper to move forward with doing all those things that she needs to do.
Okay.
I just have to ask the question. We're planning to meet next Thursday, and but the 1 week is, in your opinion, important.
I think it's important. I think if we want to bring back some of the teachers that we cut, they have job offers, and they are waiting on us being able to get back to them. And scheduling is you heard Louise, scheduling is really hard. The middle school is in hold right now, and the high school is in hold right now.
Yep.
And in terms of that, again, if there are other questions that we can answer, I'm happy to try to do that.
Okay. 5 days does make a difference in terms of school planning.
I have to say, yes, it does.
Yeah, that's the question.
And
Yeah.
to people's lives, right? To our teachers
Yep.
and our students.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to move that. We'll vote on that after the last public comment.
All right.
Okay, so moving on, school committee chair updates. We have the school committee Hall of Fame nominations.
I love this part of my job. So to start, I want to thank, I can't say who, but thank you to the people who submitted applications and recommendations and nominations of our former educators. We appreciate that we had a rich pool to look at. Also, I want to thank Ms. Cormier, Mr. Landry, Jane Broderick, and Mary Helen Paradise for meeting last week to review the applications and have a fruitful discussion and participating with me as the committee to get us here. It's one of the things that makes North Andover unique and wonderful that we have this tradition that happens every year. And we were very lucky this year with the candidates that were brought forward. In terms of the process, by April 30th, nominations had to be submitted. It includes recommendations and letters of support from various members of the community. You have to have been retired for a certain amount of time. You have to have been employed for a certain amount of time. All the candidates met that criteria and met the criteria and had all the necessary documentation. So what I'm going to do tonight, in this moment, I'm going to say a few words about each of the about what's going to the candidates we are bringing forward. They've already been informed, so they are not finding out tonight. We made some phone calls last week live, which I love doing. So we'll bring those names forward publicly. I invite next week people in the public to come speak on their behalf to remind us and tell us all about what I think is already true about how wonderful these candidates are. And then next week we will do our second part of voting for these nominations to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then the Hall of Fame ceremony is the October 29th next year. Last Wednesday of October when we do the annual teacher celebration night. It was wonderful this past year. We had the Historical Society. We should do that again. Alrighty. We all did, yeah. So the two candidates we have that we are going to bring, thank you. You did such a great job here. Thank you, Mr. Landry. I was going to try and remember everything. So we completed our review of 3 complete nomination applications. The deadline was April 30th. We are actually going to, after our consideration, we're honored to recommend 2 individuals this year for induction into the North Andover Hall of Fame. Traditionally, it's 1. We are allowed to do, and we are to do 2. We are exercising that right. So first, the first nominee is Mr. Bert Noyes, who was an English teacher and assistant principal at the high school for many a year, I think 35 or 36 years, 35 years. He retired in 2004 and has been very active in the Hall of Fame nomination process. And then second, we are bringing forward Miss Janet Gaffney, who is a kindergarten teacher extraordinaire, long time at the ABCC and later at the Sargent. I had the opportunity, as I've said before, to work alongside Miss Gaffney late in her career and early in my time here in Massachusetts. We took our SEI endorsement class together at the Oliver School in Lawrence, and what amazed me so much was that she was 2 or 3 years away from retirement and still learning how to do the very best she could for her kids. And we had fun because Miss Ando was our was our teacher, and I think we both drove her a little crazy. So again, Mr. Burt Noyes and Miss Janet Gaffney are the ones that we are bringing forward. We have shared with the committee members the documentation. Please take a chance to review that. And community, please come by next week to our meeting to share your wonderful stories about Mr. Noyes and Mrs. Gaffney and why we should vote yes on their induction.
And reading these letters will make you cry. I'm telling you every time.
Yes.
I never get through them with the
This is the first time I was able to be on the committee for selection, and reading the recommendation letters, it was just overwhelmingly impressive, the quality of educators that we have, and not only the quality of the educators, how impactful their presence has been in people's lives for the letters that were written. Like, these recommendation letters were some of the strongest I've ever read.
All right. So vote on this next.
So congratulations to both of them. And we started it last year. Mr. Landry thought I was crazy that we were going to call them right then and there and give them the news. And it's always fun to get them on the phone and to do that. We should record it next year so we can hear the true joy.
All right. Thank you. And thank you to all those who served on the committee. I know this is never an easy choice. We get some really strong nominations, so it's really incredible. All right. I'm going to take one more item out of order. I realize Mr. Landry is waiting for us to make a determination. So I'm going to move to our continued business upper turf field proposed lighting schedule. This is our second read. We had the presentation on this lighting. The funding for it was voted for at town meeting. So now it just needs our approval to move forward, if you recall. We'll see if we'll have any other questions or comments on this.
Was there any feedback on the lighting from any, I didn't get any feedback or comments on the lighting or concerns from anyone. There was nothing.
No,
Okay.
Steve Nugent had canvassed the neighbors and canvassed the neighbors and talked to them. And no, we've got the recommendations were made based on their feedback already, so no, nothing new came in.
I believe in the past there have been temporary, booster clubs brought in temporary lights during those exact same
Generators,
times.
right.
So it's happened, people were, I think, generally comfortable with those hours.
I think so.
Yeah.
Thank you for being proactive and reaching out to the community members and the abutters and working alongside them to get a recommendation that they are comfortable with as well.
Great.
So just in terms of the letter, so it says it'll go until 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday, but that they'll be able to come to the committee, I guess, to us for special events to look for extended time. So at that point, in addition to any outreach that Mr. Nugent does, the community would also hear on the state they're wanting to do more, so they'd have a chance to do any feedback at that point.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Just that it's badly needed by
Yes.
the sports organizations
Yes.
as well as the high school athletics program.
All right.
Badly needed.
All right, so I will take a motion.
I'll move that we adopt the, let's see, what's it properly called, the proposed light schedule for the upper turf field.
Seconded.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Moskovich? Mr. Brown?
Oh, yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That's
All
great.
right, thank you all.
Thank you. All right, now I will jump back. We have our proposed school committee meeting dates. There's a proposed calendar in your packets. This will be for August through December of next year, this year, 2025. So coming back for the preparation of the new school year, taking us through December. So if committee members could take a look through that, line it up with any schedules, see if there's any conflicts that maybe have been missed. We always try to avoid important religious holidays, patriotic holidays, anything like that. So if you have any upcoming scheduling conflicts, that would be time to let us know. And we can bring that back for a second read next week. Okay, so just line that up with your calendars. Same thing with community members. If you notice that one of these dates lines up with maybe a religious holiday that has been overlooked, please bring it to our attention.
I went through the list and double checked, but I might have made a mistake.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Unintentionally.
One of the things we're going to do differently next year as well is ask the school leaders to be mindful of this when planning school events so that we have opportunities to attend those school events and it's not conflicting with the school committee meetings.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a few concerts.
Yeah.
All right. Community chat update. Mr. Hicks and I had a community chat, it seems like forever ago, right before town meeting at the senior center. We did have a few community members show up. 3? Yep.
Yes.
Yes. We had some great discussion, a lot around communication and communication with the schools and with the general public, not just the school committee, and how we can improve that. So those are some discussions that we can certainly discuss with Ms. Lathrop on how we can, implement some of those ideas. Is there anything else that I'm missing in that? I think that was a big part of it.
It was mostly about like how suggestions on how we can improve communication and make sure that we are being more proactive in communicating ideas out with the public and some ways to do that.
Yeah, and I think that will certainly help community involvement if people are more fully aware of what's happening in the district. All right, we have another community chat coming up, June 7th. Who is attending the June 7th?
That is you.
That is me.
Yep. Mrs. Sams.
Again. Okay.
And Mr. Brown.
Yep.
You guys
All
are
right.
signed up for June 7th. And yeah.
I was worried because I didn't remember and I have something else in my calendar.
It's here in central office and it is from 11 to 12.
All right. That's a Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. So again, great opportunity for community members to come out and communicate with us and share their thoughts, ideas, and have a productive discussion with two committee members. All right. Going on to school building committee updates, starting with North Andover Middle School.
We, there's some punch list items. I think they have to wait until the end of the school year to finish. And once they do that, we will have one last meeting to dissolve ourselves. So we're just waiting.
Okay.
We haven't met in a while.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, great.
All right, Kittredge.
Kittredge.
Okay, so we had the this was for engineering people like myself, just fascinating. Geotechnical report. We can put in a regular spread footing foundation. We reviewed the cost estimating proposal. It was in line with what Collier's predicted. We did have a decision to make on whether to go with a general contractor versus what's called a contract manager at risk. Very briefly, the difference is that a contract manager at risk takes on a lot of the financial risk, but of course you pay more for that, right? And so the feeling of our advisors, right, the owner project manager and our architect was that this is not a large enough project to be worth the cost of having of pushing that risk onto them. And you know, our town building, Steve Foster, I forget his title. Facilities director, right? You know, agreed, and the chair of this subcommittee is a civil engineer, Laura Bates. Everybody felt pretty strongly that it was not worth the extra cost to go the CM at risk route. Then we should stick with the GC route. So that was decided, and that's it.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving right along, we come back around to our school choice participation. So again, this is something we historically do not participate in, and it's been the recommendation of the superintendent that we again vote not to participate in school choice participation. Do I have a motion on this?
Madam Chair, excuse me, I'd like to make a motion that the North Andover School Committee vote not to participate as a receiving district in the school choice program for the 25-26 school year.
Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
All right, and then I'll open it up to any discussion and comment.
So, Mr. Moskovich said we did this before, but what we did was hold the hearing. We haven't formally voted.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
That's why it's coming up again.
And because of the way I word it, we're voting, a yes vote would mean Yes, we are not participating.
Correct. We are voting to not participate.
And I didn't see any comment on this. I didn't get, did anybody have any, there was no public comment at all, correct? Okay.
Correct. All right, then I will go ahead and take a vote. Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We have come back around the North Andover High School parking fees. So that should be in your packets.
North Andover High School is making, has a revised proposal for the parking fees. So the proposal is starting in FY '26, $100 a year, FY '27, $150 a year, FY '28, $180 a year. Again, it's currently $40. I asked Principal Holman to look at our neighboring schools, or the ones that we compare ourselves to, and look at their parking fees to make a determination, just so you could have something to compare it to.
Originally, she brought forward a bigger number, and this has been reduced.
This has been reduced. Is it 400? No, 200? What was it?
200.
200.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of feedback about that.
I'd like to ask our high school expert on this subject, if from the feedback that you had gotten at the high school, is this a more manageable fee schedule?
Yeah, so we had, during one of our morning meetings with Ms. Holman, we also raised the concerns of the students about just going from 40 to 200. The fact that it's going to get even lower to 180, that's pretty good. And the fact that she listened and now it's a gradual increase, I think this would work much better. And yeah, because a lot of students have to pay this out of their own pockets. Mm-hmm. Not everyone has the opportunity for their parents to pay the $40, which is, yeah.
Understandable. It looks like from this, a lot of the schools that don't charge seem to have quite a bit more space than we do.
Yes.
So parking is not an issue there. All right. Are there, I'll guess I'll go ahead and, are there any other comments or questions on this? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the revised proposal as stated in our packet of 100, 150, and 180 for 26, 27, 28.
Seconded.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Just thank you to Ms. Holman for going back and speaking with students and doing more research and hearing the feedback.
Yeah, and that, again, like to
And to the
say thank you
students.
to the students for voicing their opinions and concerns and making that influence.
Is it confirmed that these funds are going to go towards like a parking lot shed or advisor?
It's not confirmed. The funds would go towards something related to parking. And again, just a reminder, the shed wasn't like a shed that you think of to put your things in. When I had my listening session at the high school, a lot of kids came and talked to me about that. I said, it's sort of like if you think about when you go into, like Merrimack College has one, other schools, it's a place, it's another layer of protection is what Ms. Holman was recommending, so that when you drive into the high school, you state your business, why you're here, that kind of shed. But it will go back to something parking related.
Thank you. Thank you. Good question. All right.
And it has to by law.
Correct.
All right. Anything further? I'll go ahead and take a vote. Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Moskovich? Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Before you go to public comment, I just want to share two things with you that I forgot. I actually heard from Ms. Ando. I wanted to also share the reason Ms. Ando is not here tonight is that she's at her own child's graduation, a master's degree from Harvard, so that's why Ms. Ando is not here tonight. But she is either listening or watching, and she did text me that there are 21 students who are signed up for German from 8th grade to 9th grade.
She's really listening.
Best job never leaves you. You're always with it. And the other thing I wanted to let the committee know is that I included in your packet tonight the high school students and their intentions for next year. It tells you the either what they're planning to do, if they're planning to go.
We got like
We only got a portion of the list.
And like we got more kids, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness gracious!
I only
was.
got Catherine
You
Lee
all got
through
one page. So get
Rashidi
together
Ravi.
and
No,
chat with
they're all
each
the
other.
same page. We all got the same end page.
Oh, you all got the same page?
No, I got
Oh, no, we
L.
had different
I got L through R.
I got R.
Mr.
I will
Mr.
email.
Landry, I think,
Wait,
messed up.
No. I'm gonna be honest. It was not Mr. Landry's fault.
Oh,
Mr. Landry
sorry,
did the
Mr. Landry.
packet. Yes. I did this part. I will email it again. I will photocopy it again, and I will email it to you so you have it. This is just proof why people are so good at their job. Ms. McHugh has a vacation day today and tomorrow. I was in charge of my own photocopying, and clearly that is not my skill. So I will correct that and get that out to everybody.
I don't think it's in your job description.
I don't know, but I
There
wanted
are
to share those two
some-
things.
I will say on the short list I have, there are some impressive universities and other post-secondary programs that people go into, just all sorts of things, including like armed forces and armed
There's
services,
some
which is
wonderful
great.
things, and some people are studying abroad, and some people are going into the workforce. It just really talks to the diversity and well-rounded students we have. But I'll make sure I get that out to everybody.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, given that, I am going to open back up for public comment. Again, just a reminder, limit comments to 3 minutes, keep your comments directed to the chair, and state your name and address. So that is open. It's a race.
It is.
Okay, so I'll be quick. First of all, why was the location of the
Wait,
meeting?
can you- I'm sorry, could you
I'm
just
Jane
state your-
Broderick, 550 Winter Street. Why was the location of the meeting changed at the last minute? Why are you voting for the budget after just one reading? And the stuff that you asked for on the right-hand side for the $471,801, why wasn't that in the $68 million budget? And the last thing is the same thing with the transition specialist. I'm sorry. The transition specialist, why wasn't that included in the original budget? Because I feel like we all went and voted because we wanted to reinstate as many teachers as possible, and I only see 5 teachers. So, thank you.
Mary Lacey, 16 Ogunquit Road, North Andover, Mass., second grade teacher at Kittredge. I wanted to advocate on the part of the teachers because I hear a lot at school committee, and it just gets under my skin a little bit, about the teachers' salaries and the teachers' salaries. That's a fixed cost. You guys have known about that for a couple of years, and that's something that isn't a surprise. You know it's coming. We're also the same people that were out there advocating to the town and speaking on your behalf and trying to get you that extra $1 million between the parents and the teachers. And we have to do that again for next year. You know we will. So please keep that in mind and be mindful, because we feel like a little bit like we're getting pinned for the blame for the budget overrun, and that's not true. So please be mindful of that going forward. I also wanted to ask if there will be any more TA layoffs, because we thought the $1 million was going to go to a lot of student-facing positions, and that's what we advocated for with the public. So I feel, as a teacher who did this, I feel that I don't want the public to think that I was lying, because we did the legwork, and I feel a little dishonest, and I don't want to feel that way. So I was looking for more student-facing positions because we need them, and that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Rebecca Cesarski, 498 Osgood Street. Upon reviewing the budget book in the school budgets, there's a line tuition in non-public schools, and I believe that's out-of-district placements. For this current year, there is $1.9 million listed on that line. For next year, there's $3.8 million. So you've increased it close to $2 million, but now you're coming back and saying, wait, we need another close to $300,000 plus an additional amount from the town. So my question is, why aren't we investing in more teachers to avoid the out-of-district placements? Investing in giving the students they need services in town rather than spending $4 million to send them out of district. So please consider a second read on this proposal. Ms. Lathrop asked for time to allocate the funds out, and I believe you guys need time to make sure those allocations are appropriate for the district. So please take the time that you need to ensure that our students that you're representing are fully represented.
Just going over, listening to the presentation, there was one thing that kind of struck me, that it had to do with the transition specialist. That sounds like the way you guys described it. I know that it's a requirement by the. Oh, I'm sorry. I know that it's required by law technically, but it's not enforced. That being said, we haven't had it in the past. It hasn't been an issue in the past. It's something that it sounds like teachers are already doing. It's something that teachers have always done, that position. So why, instead of hiring somebody new in that spot, why don't we save that money and put it towards another teacher and let the teachers continue to do their job? And also, I think one of the HVAC specialists that just graduated should come in here and fix the AC. So it's brutal.
Any other public comment? All right, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close out public comment. I think we do want to address some of these prior to voting. Ms. Lathrop?
I'll start with the HVAC. We are on a time scheduled, efficiency schedule by the facilities manager in order to conserve funding. And so unfortunately, this is one of the times when the air conditioning's dialed down. Maybe it's tries to get us to move along a little bit quicker. But if you'd like his email, I'll be happy to share it with you because I have tried. But that is part of the our efficiency system is why we don't have AC at this point. Just to answer some of the questions, it's not that these aren't necessarily were in the budget. It's that these are some of the needs that we had and that we were going to have to make some more layoffs that we hadn't anticipated. As we have shared, we had not shared with you what we were anticipating laying off for our teaching assistants. And we are looking very carefully at that. But that number would have been much larger than what we may have to do. So that is one of the answers to your question about why were they not in the budget. And then the other is that we were, if I take the music teacher, for instance, or the social studies teacher, I'll take the social studies teacher, wasn't in the budget because we had an alternative to answering making it work without having that social studies teacher by having a 4-person team. The teachers are highly qualified. They are able to teach that subject. It would have worked. It still could work if that's what we want to do. But when the money became available and asked for make some priorities, that is one of our priorities, which is why the social studies teacher was put back into that position. No, that money wasn't there because that position could have happened. In terms of teachers like the RISE teacher and the ETLs, we are hiring those regardless. It just depends on what the cost of that might be. So we need the third RISE teacher. That could come at a cost of other layoffs, but now that we have this additional money, we put it here so that we wouldn't have to make additional layoffs for those positions. To be upfront and honest, because I have been upfront and honest about a lot of things. The reason that we moved the meeting today was because this is where we typically hold our meetings. NADA has shared a letter publicly with their unions, as well as putting on social media that they have felt that we have been in communications with each other and that they recommended not to have a standout tonight and recommended that members not could come, but that there was not high protesting. And we felt that based on what we had seen in terms of participation, that our standard procedure room was going to be appropriate for the amount of people that we anticipated seeing tonight. So we move our locations to accommodate the people that we anticipate seeing. But this is our standard practice of having our meetings here, and we would like to be able to continue our meetings here if we can, but we also want to be able to have as many community members. If you want to come for the school improvement plans next year, and you want to bring 100 of your friends, I would happily book the North Andover Middle School or the North Andover High School to be able to do that. Let's see, avoid out-of-district costs. You're not wrong. We definitely need to look at special education, what we're adding into our schools in terms of also general education, tier 1, tier 2 supports, and then look at our programming. But the other thing that you're not taking into consideration is that typically, or sometimes we have families that move into our district that already have students in an out-of-district placement, and we cannot, that's not something that we can work with. And so our costs have risen because of that reason. Because some students do need needs outside of North Andover Public Schools. And unfortunately, and I hate saying this because I've said it a lot, but unfortunately, not all of our needs were budgeted appropriately, which is why there's such a large jump. And I can say to you that we are budgeting appropriately for the needs of our students now. And our goal will be to bring that line item down. And our goal will be to work with our state legislators so that they appropriately fund special education in the state of Massachusetts. In terms of the transition specialist, it's a position that we need. We have people that are doing something towards that position, but they're not doing it to the full capacity that it could be done, and we're doing a disservice to our students. Students are really vulnerable when they're at the ages of between 14 and 22, and we're finding our students that we're not being able to meet all of their needs, and that we're maybe not sending them off appropriately, or we're not planning for them in a way that we might be able to, whether trade school is appropriate for them, after dark is appropriate for them, or Scarlet Knight Academy might be appropriate for them, or some other kinds of activities. We have extremely dedicated staff members who go above and beyond every single day. But I actually think that if we can take those extremely dedicated staff members and have them do solely the job that they're hired to do, and then bring somebody who has a training in this transition specialist. This isn't just somebody who wants to do this. This is somebody who has a training and do it, and devote them to that piece, that ultimately this can also help look at some of the social emotional needs of our students, some of the mental health needs of our students, and then our staff who are redirecting their sort of main job skills towards accommodating those needs can go back to doing that position because we have somebody appropriately in place for that position. I think I answered all the questions. One of the questions was how many TAs, and you haven't heard that. And no, we haven't heard that. I have expressed, and I know it's not a popular opinion, but I have expressed that this is a delicate job, and moving our students into the schools that they're moving into, and moving our staff, and we want to be able to check and double check and appropriately look at. And one of the things that we are doing is our special education teachers, our reading specialists, they don't know where their positions are yet. Some of them are starting to find out now. They don't know where their positions are yet because we are looking at the true needs of our students, and we're reassigning folks to those positions so that we can better hopefully keep kids from going out of district, because we're hitting those tier 1 and those tier 2 supports where the students are, and moving teachers to those positions. And so our next go round, Ms. O'Neill is working with her educational team leaders right now to look at the needs in each building, and then we'll be making some determination with our leaders. It is our goal to minimize that to the best of our abilities.
I'd like to just add a couple comments
Sure.
on that. And one of the things that I just want to remind everybody of is we have the Advisory Council on Special Education, where we're really taking a hard look on how we can do special education better in North Andover, and hopefully that will change some of the services and the way we're servicing our special education students, and maybe hopefully move the needle on some of those costs as we think about how can we do this better. I know there was a question about the line item, I think for out of district. Last year's budget was grossly under budgeted on the actual budget. As we went through the year, actual costs were discovered, which changed. The numbers on that page don't change. The numbers in the ledger change. And then we have to go back and ask for more money. This is a budget where we have, as best as we can get, actual costs that have been spent, which we didn't have the advantage of at our FY25 budget. All right.
And just to point out, if you remember in the recognition, I recognized the visit that Mr. Moskovich, Ms. Warren, and Ms. Ando did to the Atkinson School to see investigating history. They are part of the subcommittee, the Special Education Advisory Committee. They went there in their role as Special Education Advisory Committee members to look at both the curriculum and then how our special education students are accessing that curriculum.
Thank you.
We did ask actually about how the curriculum, the new curriculum, how they were, how that worked in terms of the students who needed extra help, and the teachers are clearly aware of that, and they gave us some examples of things they're doing. And as I recall, one of the arguments that Ms. Ando has suggested to me is that prior to this, and the teachers confirmed this, they were doing when they prepared lessons, they had to actually get the material on what they were studying. That's now it's in the curriculum that we're using. And so more of their preparation time is spent thinking about what do I need to do to make sure that everybody in the class is able to understand this material. So in the long run, that works hopefully to reduce the need to send children out of district.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so what we can do is I'm going to take a motion and then we'll open up further discussion. So do I have a motion to approve the 69.2 budget? Oh, I'm sorry, we do. We have to suspend the rules. So let's do a motion to suspend the rules first.
I move we suspend the rules to be able to consider this.
Please, we'll explain it more, but we don't need extra comments. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. The reason we were looking to suspend the rules, as Ms. Lathrop had stated, was there's teaching positions in here in which our schedules of our middle schoolers and our high schoolers are depending, and they're all sitting here in limbo waiting on us to decide. Teachers are sitting there waiting on us to decide, and the longer we take to do it, the more chaos it ensues in trying to get these schedules together and get teachers put in place before the end of the school year. And teachers have job offers and they're needing to know, are they staying or are they going? And it's unfair to them to keep them waiting any longer.
That seems to me the most compelling issue, that these teachers might want to come back, but they have some other offer that they can't just sit on. And so I think we owe it to them to know as quickly as possible whether we're going to be able to offer them positions.
As a point of clarification, it's not actually rules we're suspending, it's just our practice.
It's our
common
practice. Yeah, it's our practice.
I hope you'll accept that friendly amendment.
Yes, cheerfully.
Okay.
And Superintendent Lathrop, I think just to state it one more time, I think you were clear on this before, but there's these are the top hitters. These are heavily your recommendation of where to make the most impact to our students here. There's no kind of.
That's a question for the.
Yeah, let's
the
talk
next
about
round.
suspending the rules.
Oh, sorry.
And then we'll get into
the heat is
getting to you.
You're right by the window.
I'm walking right now.
That side of the room is cooler. I used to sit over there.
So maybe we should vote on that.
okay.
So is there any other comment on suspending the rules?
Yeah. Practice.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Suspending the practice.
Yes. I'm actually very torn because I understand all the reasons why we need to do it quickly because people are depending on it. It's knowing is a really important thing for a teacher's sake. I also know that schedules need to be built, and there's a time deadline on that of the end of the year, which is where around us. And I don't like having to do that because I want to be as deliberative and as contemplative as possible. And I think it's important that people have an opportunity to hear, like these are bigger decisions than we might see with field trips and such, and people having an opportunity to express their ideas more than if they happen to be here tonight in anticipation of this presentation.
All right. Any other comments on suspending our practice? Okay.
No.
Yeah,
let's.
just that I'm not a big fan, but it's a compelling reason. So.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote. Mr. Hicks?
No.
Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
This is just whether we're going to suspend our practice. I'll vote in favor of suspending our practice.
Yes, Mayor. And I vote yes to suspend the practice on the vote. All right, so now let's take a motion on approving the 69.2 budget as presented, and then let's open that up for discussion. So do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation.
Okay, do I have a second?
Seconded.
All right, so now let's open this up for discussion. I just want to make a few comments because as I look at these recommendations, I think, what can we do knowing that we have this time frame, but also maybe being a little torn on having a rush time frame? And as I look at what's being recommended, teaching positions, those obviously affect the schedules and our teachers and are probably the most important things, in my opinion, that would need to be approved. I look what other things can maybe we put off and open those up for more discussion as a possibility of maybe kind of thinking, all right, we know we need these positions, we know we need these courses, maybe we bifurcate it.
So do you want to make an amendment to my motion?
I want to open it for discussion.
Could I just ask which ones you have in mind?
Well, for example, the music teacher, the language, world language, the social studies, special education.
Those are the ones you have in mind approving now?
Correct.
I was asking the other half of the question, but I wasn't
Oh,
clear.
I'm sorry.
No, it's I wasn't
And
clear.
maybe,
Which ones do you think could be postponed for a while?
The one I'm torn on is the After Dark program because I'm torn on the After Dark program because those are numbers we can't change right now. We know we have 17 students that are accepted to that program that we have to pay for.
Do we have to, or can we tell them they can't go? Right, like that's
exactly what I was going to.
I mean, it's horrible. Like we're at horrible choices. Like, is that if we don't put that 100,000 in there, are we telling these kids they can't go?
But then, are we just choosing an arbitrary number of who can go?
That's where I'm at, like, what's our choices?
I would never recommend that as the superintendent of schools, to tell the students that they can't go. They've been accepted to the program, and some of them are participating in the program now. So that would basically be altering our participation in the program. If the school committee's will is to dissolve our contract with that would be what I would recommend, if that's what you're asking, to dissolve the contract with After Dark. But so you're not going to hear from me a recommendation to remove the $100,000 for After Dark if that's what the school committee decides. Obviously, my job is to execute that, and I'll do the best that I can. And I may have to get back to you in terms of what some of these have already been committed. I believe we have committed to paying this bill, and I think it would be inappropriate for the students and inappropriate in our relationship with Greater Lawrence Technical School to make that decision.
Could I just comment on that? I understand it's a different kind of position. It's not a teacher, but these are some of the neediest kids that come to our schools. And what we're talking about is doing something to make sure they have a shot at something approaching a normal life and normal career. And I think not doing this is going to affect. Sorry?
We're talking about After Dark. Those
This is
are regular
After Dark.
education students going to a tech
It's a
school.
blend. It's a blend of students. It's students who may not be on the traditional path that you might think of in terms of maybe a four-year college afterwards that want to basically go into the workforce from leaving high school. Some may also go on to a two-year, four-year degree. I heard some of them were going on at their graduation. But they are students who potentially maybe didn't get into the Greater Lawrence Technical School as 8th graders moving into 9th graders, and we are giving them an opportunity to they can't have the full sort of experience of Greater Lawrence Technical School, but we're giving them the opportunity to get their core skills, their graduate requirement skills at North Andover High School, and then to get the thing that they really wanted in order to be able to get that trade that they want to be able to have. Because we're not a larger school that also offers CTE within our public school. And it gives an opportunity for more students, quite frankly, to access the technical schools.
I was just going to say that it seems to me that this is going to affect them directly in a way that's greater than, and I was in favor of the other changes, but the difference between 2 periods, 2 sessions and 3 sessions in a language, this is make a big difference to their career. So it seems to me that the superintendent's argument is persuasive.
No, I certainly agree. I think, you know, these are student programs that we offer for an advantage of our students in North Andover, and that's something we certainly don't want to take away from them.
Right. I think it's under an expense, but I could argue that they're also student-facing positions because they're being taught by an educator.
So with your
sorry, no.
Finish this.
In terms of timing, right? The argument about why we need to suspend our practices and discuss this now is based on, I think, on the left column here. I'm looking at the next page.
Well, I think
right, because those are decisions that everything the arguments made was that these are people that are waiting to know that you have registrations you need to deal with, right?
I think the CBA placeholder we may be able to put off.
Yep.
It's the After Dark program, I think. So it's those first 1, 2, 3, 4 line items, and then including the After Dark program.
And you're then arguing that we could wait to allocate the out-of-district tuitions and the homeless foster transportation and the CBA placeholder monies
At another future meeting.
Right, and I was thinking along those lines myself, right? Because what seems to be timely are I'm looking at the second slide, right? The bigger one. It seems to be timely are the salaries, right? The expenses but I have to ask, well, I mean, for us, it would give us time to sort of absorb this and contemplate it, et cetera. You've already done that, right? So is your recommendation likely to be any different a week from now than tonight? In other words, is there anything we might learn that might alter that?
It depends on what you say. If there's something I guess my point is this, right? I understand, and I've said this to people, I understand my job. And if the school committee's will is to ask me to go back and look at something else, then that's my job, is to go back and look at something else. I want to say with confidence and assurance to you that we listed many things. We started off with, within 30 seconds, we probably got to like $6 million of things that we would want to be able to bring back. Right. But so we started with a small team. We looked at some of the things, what we recommended. We brought it to the bigger leadership team, asked them to go through the process, vetted the process. I did a problem of practice or protocol. I don't know if it's a very educational thing, but so I brought it to my leadership team. I posed the dilemma to my leadership team in terms of using this funding. I went through some things with them. They ask questions towards me that I'm able to answer. Then I listen to them. So I've sort of vetted it through what would be a standard educational process. I reached out to NADA about some of the things that are on this list. I think that is why North Andover Teachers Association said that we were having some good conversations so that they are aware of some of the things that we're moving forward. We have more talks to do, but I feel as though I have shared some of this information. And I have said that I am concerned about, not concerned, but we're watching enrollment. I mean, we did go to the 24. Now, do I feel as though that we can, we may not be able to have kids in their home school. We may have to we'll look at that. Originally, I had said that perhaps we would put some more money into elementary salaries if we had to add an elementary classroom. It didn't make it to this $1 million. We're going to really look very carefully and watch our enrollments.
And you mean enrollment, not like, because people have commented, but you've said our enrollment is going down, and that's true, our enrollment goes going down, but you mean enrollment in terms of the number of kids we have right now versus the number of teachers we have right now, and want to keep that the same.
Keeping it the same,
So you're
keeping
talking
it at
about
24 and not
different
moving,
types of enrollment,
correct, different
using
types
the
of
word
enrollment, or
differently.
somebody moves in the summer, and
Yeah.
sometimes those things are anomalies where you get,
Right.
5 first graders that show up at one school, and what that might look like. So those are some of the reasons. So my long answer to your question is, I feel very confident in the things that I have moved forward here tonight and asking you. I feel as though that this has been listened to, as Chairperson Sams has shared tonight, that I listened to. I read every email that has come across. I have listened to community. I have watched social media to see what is important to people that choose to partake in social media. I have vetted it through my core leadership group in central office. I have vetted it through the leadership team. I have begun the vetted process through North Andover Teachers Association. I have vetted it with our financial team, looking at what our finances are and saying where these are areas that are continuing to grow. And this is the recommendation I move forward. If you would like us to do something else, we will go back and revet that, but there's a very good likelihood that you'll see the same sheet.
So,
to answer your question.
Yeah.
Can I say it a little differently? Like, unless we were to say, like, just as an example, we want you to add back in, or we really want this X position added back in, it's like, this is what,
Yeah.
right, like, of course you would then do your job, but like, that's,
We really looked at what the kids' needs are, and
Yeah.
I understand. It is extremely challenging, and there are going to be some big changes for some people. Some people are going to go from teaching 14 to 17 students in their classroom to teaching 24, and that is a large change. Having been a teacher for 12 years, I know that. I lived through those experiences. And the middle school is going to look a little bit different in terms of what their RA, related art schedule, looks like, and some of the offerings. I also believe that it's going to look, I don't want to say better, because that makes it seem as though something wasn't good, but I think that some of the alternatives that have been presented are really good alternatives, really looking at, and what you're supposed to do when you make a budget is look at the goals of the district. So we went back, and that was something that I shared with the leadership team. These are the goals that we have now. These are the goals we have moved forward. We've talked a lot about social emotional needs of our students, and some of the things that we have done to the middle school schedule really does look to address some of the social emotional needs of students. Now, it's hard to understand that, or to sort of come to that decision when you're seeing your colleague, your friend, your family, quite honestly, losing their position. But that is why I do believe that we have some good things that are in place for our students, and I think that we are addressing some of our concerns. That's why I asked Ms. O'Neill to tell us, what do we need in this district so that we can just keep our students in district, so that we can support our students in a different way, so that we can handle the mental health crisis that we're seeing in some of our students. So there are some new pieces in here because we need those new pieces.
So I guess what I was trying to get at with my suggestion is
Yeah,
that
but I hear
we're
you on
not
that.
we're not a fan of suspending
Mhm.
procedure. So to allow for that second read, not to say anything would change, but that keeps part of it in with our procedure that we all prefer, while also doing what needs to be done immediately under the waived procedure.
Correct.
It also provides us with an opportunity to review it in our own minds, to
Mm-hmm.
hear from constituents who might feel differently than the people who happen to show up tonight. Not that, maybe they don't feel differently, but it's an opportunity for us to hear that. And maybe we're sitting here a week from now and we just approve this as it is, but I'd feel better that way. I feel like it's my opinion anyway, but I feel like we only need to, what I would prefer to do is approve the ones that need to be decided tonight.
I guess that feels at odds with your previous vote to me.
Well, I wanted to have the discussion. If we voted to not suspend the rules, then we don't have this discussion.
We would have discussed the stuff anyway.
Well, all right, I
Right,
felt,
I'm just
saying.
I wanted
that-
to be more. I wanted to, like, if I voted no against it, but I also don't think. I think it's a good plan. And if we vote for it tonight, I'm going to vote in favor of it. If we vote for it next week, I'm going to vote in favor of it. It's not going to change how I vote. Would I prefer to do it next week? Yes, but I'm going to vote for the whole thing anyway. So, just to be completely transparent, because I'm not going to sit here and tell Ms. Lathrop to go make more changes if she's gone through the process that I know she's gone through to do all the things. Okay. And I know that seems at odds with my previous vote.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
and I admit it. But like I'm not like, if we have voted next week on this, I'm voting for the whole thing. I'm not going to separate out the pieces. I think it's right that we address the salary side of the budget. We also need to address the expenses and the things that we know have gone over. We know that there's fixed costs that we have. We also know the expenses always change and we need to protect ourselves in some ways there. I know that's a different priority than a lot of people have. A lot of people will say student-facing positions are the most important thing. They are really, really important. I think the other stuff is also really important. So I think we need to be balanced.
And I guess I want you to know that our commitment to you is that as we move into the summer, and the reality is we are still not discovering things, but we are still, as the parts get moved, as the puzzle gets put into place, as these parts gets moved to where they're going, we are still evaluating what our needs may be. And as the summer unfolds, if something changes, let's say we did need to add another teaching position, or we did need to add something back, I would come to the school committee and say, we need to make a move in these line items in order to bring this teaching position back into alignment and this is the reason why. So that might be something else that we take away. I mean, I want to assure the school committee and the community that we will follow the rules and that we're not going to make unilateral decisions about positions or placements without bringing that back to the school committee.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking that as well. Like, this is not etched in stone. Should our needs change, we are able to move things with approval of the committee. So just kind of looking at all angles of this, and I just wanted to make sure that we're looking at all possibilities.
Can I ask, in that connection, that perhaps we should indicate a willingness to interrupt our summer interlude and have a special meeting if you need that, because
I think that's typically been our practice. If we need to.
Well, but I mean, just to emphasize that if that should happen, then we should be willing to come and meet to hear a request for a transfer.
We do have our summer retreat that we'll have. Check your emails.
And I think we met almost all summer last year, so
We
I'm
did.
fairly
We
confident
went
that
through
we
the entire
would.
summer.
I have no problem if we have to ask you for a meeting this summer.
I just wanted to.
Yeah,
no,
I appreciate
I
it.
think saying
Yeah.
it out loud to the public is a good idea.
Yeah.
We're willing to be here.
I just for me, the previous vote was whether or not we should vote on it tonight, and the committee decided that we should vote on it tonight. So then I separate those two things. So then the question is, do I like this plan or do I not?
Yep.
And for me, is I like this plan.
All right.
It addresses the things I personally would have prioritized. So
Okay. Are we ready to take a vote? No. All right. So let's go ahead and take a vote on the motion on the 69.2 is allocated. Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
No.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
I vote yes. All right. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do you have a second? All right, thank you. Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yep.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
I vote yes. Thank you. We are adjourned.